Let me turn it off.
Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis, and that's Rez. And this is Comic Roundtable. Sorry, we're incredibly late. We were kind of waiting for young Fred to come and hang out with us. Anybody who doesn't know, I keep calling Fred young Fred. That's a Yellow Submarine Beatles reference. So anytime I meet anybody whose name is Fred, I always want to call him young Fred, especially if they're younger than me. So Fred may show up at some point. He was kind of rushing to get his books because we weren't going to do the show because I wasn't going to get my books out in time and get them read. And then I decided, oh, what the heck, we'll do the show. So I power read, I don't know, 10 books or something like that. I got about half my books read. So we'll talk with the books we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we flipped the imaginary 3-sided coin. We came up with Marvel. We're going to talk Marvel first. What'd you read Marvel-wise, Red?
Jessica Jones, issue number 5. So that's what I read.
So what's going on in Jessica Jones?
Well, so far, we still have this one little side storyline where, it started. The first book started off where we had a client that hired Jessica Jones to investigate why her husband believes he's from another multiverse. Okay, and so she investigates the guy, but during that investigation, the guy kills his wife. He slits her throat and drinks her blood. We find that out in this issue. So we find out the way that he killed her, and he feels like he did it to prove a point that nothing really matters. That there's other universes, and because he came from another universe, he wants to prove to people that he is from this other universe that he's in. And he pretty much talked Jessica Jones into believing him and his theory with that there is a multiversity, and because of it, he revealed to her as well that several other superheroes like Tony Stark's, Carol Danvers, she knows about it, and that now she feels like, well, I want to see Carol Danvers go down. So we see in this issue right around the end, she says, you know what? She's gonna go work with the civilian who actually hates Carol Danvers. She's like, you know what? Let's go ahead and work together. I want to see you take Carol down, and I want to watch. So this was pretty much her talking to that guy in an interrogation room and pretty much revealing to him that, not revealing to him, but talking to him and him revealing to her why he's actually killed his wife, and how there are other universes that existed and how they came to be destroyed, and how he somehow slipped through the cracks. And then now she feels like she's been duped somehow by Carol, because we also find out in previous issues, Carol Danvers talked her into wrecking her marriage with Luke Cage. And so now she kind of feels like, well, you know what? Screw you, Carol. I'm going to watch you burn.
Wow.
Yeah. So now it's getting good. It's getting good. I'm glad I stuck with it.
Right. So are we as readers to believe this guy's from someplace else?
I feel like the way it was told, like, and there's some dialogue in here that's just, I'm iffy on Brian Michael Bendis now after reading this new Jessica Jones, because I did go back and I read some of the Alias, and it wasn't as bad written, I feel, as this is. I feel like they're trying to emulate what Netflix did, but not as good, And there was just when he was talking to Jessica, he just kept saying over and over, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. It's I can't be held accountable because nothing happened. And I feel like, they want to depict him as somebody we should believe, but it's not depicted in a way where you're sure. I don't have the utmost confidence in him after reading, even though we know that there is a multiversity.
Right.
Some degree.
Sure. Huh. Yeah, I was just always curious. I mean, I didn't get Jessica Jones. A lot of people were surprised I didn't pick it up because I really liked the Netflix show.
Yeah.
But I was concerned when this book was announced that it was coming out that it would be somehow, instead of them creating a interesting story because they were wanting to do an interesting story with it, that it was being generated because of the show, that they were just cashing in on the interest, not to really tell a good story. So I've always been kind of curious about it to see.
Yeah. Well, it's something else too that kind of makes me wonder is like, I was reading it, and when the guy's talking about multiverses, I was like, that sounds very familiar. DC?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm wondering if they, it's pretty clear they probably grabbed that little bit of inspiration from the from DC to some degree.
Well, it's either they're going to poke fun at it, one of the two.
Yeah,
because they do that too. Marvel does that. They'll poke fun at DC concepts in their books.
Yeah.
So,
but I like this issue a lot. It was a really good issue.
So, is that an ongoing, or is that set to be like a miniseries of some sort?
I was under the impression it was ongoing. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, and I feel like it's the way it's going, as episodic as it seems. It definitely reads as an ongoing. Okay. I would be surprised if it was a maxi or a mini.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't call. Rarely do they call anything that anymore, right? They just tell a story until the sales aren't what they want, and then just cancel it, or wait for
until you.
Right, or wait until that story arc's done and then end it, kind of a thing. So
yeah. Oh, we always intended it for to end this way. Oh, we always intended to end on issue 17.
Yeah, right. The only Marvel book I got to, I have others. I have like Ms. Marvel and whatnot, but the only book I got to read for the show tonight was Black Widow. This is issue number 11. Wonderful Chris Samney art. And story driven by Chris Samney, which is awesome. A few words in there by Wade, I'm sure. But this is the penultimate issue. I mean, this issue, we get these great. She's in the Antarctic. We find out there's a secret base that has all the codes to completely shut down all of SHIELD. There's like these keys, you stick them all in this console, you turn all the keys at once, and it would erase everything that's ever been recorded about SHIELD would just be completely gone. So all the agents would be in the dark. There'd be no databases. There would be nothing. It would just all be completely wiped out. So Black Widow's there to try and stop that from happening, because all these little young girls that are trained as assassins, like she used to be, are all there. And they are trying to gather these keys up so they can just destroy all of SHIELD. Partially, they're out to destroy SHIELD because they just want the disruption, because they're a group of assassins and whatnot. Plus, they know it's gonna make life even worse for Black Widow. So that's why they're doing it. Great book, fabulous art. Like I said, by Chris Samney. Lots of exciting action, great use of shadows and all the wonderful stuff that Samney is good at. And I'm excited for the last issue, the next issue that ends the story, see how it all ends, and really looking forward to seeing what is next for the book. And we have Fred with us. How's it going, sir?
Not bad. This is my third laptop I've tried connecting on, and it finally worked.
Nice.
Yay.
Nice. Yeah. You see, we're just talking some Marvel books.
Marvel.
If you got to any Marvel books, because I mistakenly told Fred, "Oh, we're not doing a show this week," so he's just been kind of kicking back and taking it easy. And then at the last second, I said, "Oh, we're going to do a show."
I was binge reading anyways, because I'm like, I have no time this weekend. We're getting a snowstorm, and I work in a grocery store, so I'm like, I got to get it done now.
Nice. Great.
I got a couple Marvel books, but I go bi-weekly for my polls. So I don't know what came out this week, what didn't come out this week.
Cool. Well, we'll talk about them. But anyway, really love Black Widow. If you haven't tried it out, if you can't find the singles, maybe try it and trade. It's a smart book, gorgeously. Like I said, Chris Samney is probably the Alex Toth of the modern age, I would say, as far as his design goes and whatnot. So, look forward to the next issue. So what you got, Fred?
Well, it turns out I only got 3 Marvel books, so it shouldn't be that impactful. One I'd talk about the most, I got Unworthy Thor number 4. And this, I thought I had missed an issue, but it turns out like 2 and 3 just really went together super quick. And in this one, it's Thor trying to find his way to the ultimate hammer once again, but at the end of it, he does actually touch it while everybody else is fighting over it.
Oh, okay. So does he have control of the hammer then?
That should be next issue, this is the penultimate issue. Next issue, he'll pick it up or not. I think they keep saying they're switching artists, but Quapel is still on this issue. The only difference is the guy that drew Annihilator for Grant Morrison.
Oh, uh-huh.
He did like the first 3 pages, which is really jarring compared to like the art you're used to, but then it just molds back in.
So
But-
Fraser Irving did the first couple pages? Interesting.
Yeah, it's just like a flashback to Thor not being able to pull the hammer
Right.
as usual.
Right.
And then it's just back to Coppell's art like you see on the cover in the rest of the book. But Aaron's doing a fantastic job balancing this, like the feeling of this Thor with Jane Foster Thor. Like they feel completely different, but you can tell they're from the same universe. And he even calls back to like older stories. Like I just read Everything Burns by, I think it was Kieran Gillen wrote that one, I want to say. And Loki as a kid has a pet hellhound, and he shows back up in this run like as a full-grown hellhound. And he's like, I remember Thor. Thor used to beat me up, but he still helps him out.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Mine and some history. Right on.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a pickup. Probably better for a trade binge at this point than trying to collect all the issues. But it's a cool way to fold like the Thor everybody remembers back into the Marvel universe.
Sure. So do you think at some point he takes over being Thor? Legitimately being Thor?
I don't know.
And we lose Foster at some point, do you think?
I don't know if we're going to lose Foster at all. I could see her being like relegated to like a secondary character kind of afterwards because of the popularity of the Odin son Thor.
Right.
But at the same point in time, like
the Jane Foster Thor is really popular though too, isn't it?
I was going to say, but like Aaron has made her such a staple in the Marvel universe now too. Like they're going to be fighting for control of that Thor title after a while. But like it's just weird to say that she'll continue on because like a big point to the Jane Foster story is every time she becomes Thor, her cancer gets worse because she keeps expelling the chemo from her body.
Right.
So Jane Foster's gonna, I hate to say it, like have to die at some point unless she does take a miracle cure, which she's kind of against.
Interesting. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. But
cool. What else did you read Marvel wise? Because me and Rez, we only had one Marvel book each. So
all right. I got the 2 side Doctor Strange books that came out. I think one of them came out last week.
Okay.
Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supremes and Doctor Strange and the Punisher Magic Bullets.
All right.
Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme is weird. He's going around and just talking to like different magic characters within the Marvel Universe. And this one focuses on Sir Isaac Newton and how he wanted to find the voice of God so he could like, because he felt like studying math and magic, it imprisoned him in like the world of actuality, but the voice of God would like destroy the prison he finds himself in. And he's just kind of bored with reality. And it talks about a story where him and Doctor Strange have to fight a bunch of Doom bots that are like in one of the multiverse. Well, not multiverse, but in like one of the other realms. And like he ends up learning about the voice of God, but he doesn't use it until later on in the story. It's like, it's a weird story because it's a bunch of flashbacks for different characters while it's also like a continuous epic of like trying to figure out what Merlin wanted for all the sorcerers. And then Doctor Strange and the Punisher is just them fighting more monsters in New York. And like Frank doesn't believe in magic, but Strange finds a biplane from like a ghost soldier from World War One. And there's a Gatling gun, like an early machine gun on it. And Frank's like, yeah, I'm down for that. So as long as he's touching the gun, he can see the magic world. And he's just walking around shooting monsters in New York. And everybody thinks like the Punisher's tripping on acid. And they're like, what is the Punisher doing? Because nobody else can see it.
Right. I just can't see those two as a team.
That's like, that's the running joke in the book. And like, sometimes it plays well, sometimes it doesn't. But like, overall, it is pretty enjoyable because Frank's like, I don't believe in this magic stuff. But like, if you hand me a magic machine gun, I'll kill whatever you want me to kill.
Sure. Right. Cool. Not a book for me, but I can see the concept there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right on.
And like, they take the villain of the story is like an amalgam of like a Doctor Strange villain and a Punisher villain. Like it's a mob family, but they have ties to the occult and they become like demons themselves. So Strange is like, I guess we're going to have to team up, even though I prefer to cure people and you prefer to like shoot people.
Sure.
Sounds wacky enough for me.
Like, and it's cool that it started out as a digital exclusive and got so popular they decided to print it regularly.
Oh, is that how it worked? Okay.
Yeah, it
Huh.
started off just digital only, but so many people were like, we don't buy digital, that they started printing it in like physical form, and then it just took off from there.
Interesting. I don't like that sales approach, but that's interesting because
Yeah.
anti,
Well,
anti-digital as always. So
Well, I don't know if they meant it to be like, oh, like this is just like they meant it to be like a fun little thing on the side for like people that use digital. And then like just by word of mouth it exploded. I don't think they intended it for it to like be this popular.
Cool. So that's it for our Marvel. Any kind of Marvel news? Anything that's come up that's like, oh my gosh, we need to talk about? I don't
know how. So I didn't watch the video, but I know they said they started filming Infinity War this week.
Yeah, that's what I heard because it's going to have everybody in it. The
Yeah, and
Avengers, the Avengers, and the Guardians of the Galaxy all going to be in one movie, right?
There's like a promo video with Tom Holland, Robert Downey Jr., and Chris Pratt, and I think they just said like, "Hey, we started filming, and we're the most popular characters in your universe right now." So
I love Chris Pratt.
So,
Yeah.
so how do you think that's going to really play on film, though? So we're talking close to what, 12 to 20 possible characters,
Like,
unless they're going to dump some of the less popular characters.
it's like 12 to 20 like lead characters, not to mention like all the other named characters that are going to appear.
Then it'll just be flashes of them. I get that.
Yeah.
But like them standing in a room and having a conversation.
I mean, I can only really see them all like showing up for like the big fight scenes, but I guess that's why it's a 2-part movie.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, so half the movie you get like half of it you get to see like these people, and the other half you get to see those people, and then you go to part 2 and they all team up.
Huh. I don't know. I don't know how excited I'm. That, to me, this seems like way too many people for them to all think they have to have FaceTime. I mean, to get the maximum out of all of those characters, they have to have more than just a one-liner, don't they? I mean,
yeah, but I can also see,
even for this kind of movie, they have to have more than a one-liner, I would think. I don't know.
they might just do it like they did like in the actual Infinity Gauntlet book itself, though, and have like these characters show up and they all kind of do something, but then you realize like Spider-Man's not going to do anything to Thanos, so you get a cool moment of like him fighting his henchmen, and then like Thor will whack Thanos with his hammer.
But they don't have that kind of time, though. This is 6 hours, right? 2 movies. We're talking 6 hours, right? At most, there's no way they're gonna have time for all that. I mean, and this isn't me just picking on Marvel movies as much as I like to pick on Marvel movies. I can't imagine having a DC movie where it's like the Justice League and the Justice Society meet up for an entire movie. That's too many people with too much stuff to have any value at all. I don't know. I guess it's all about the big explosions, right? It's not about the characters.
Yeah. I mean, if there are 5 Transformers movies at this point, explosions will sell anything.
Yeah, I don't understand that either, though. So, did anybody watch Legion? It was on Fox last week. Just me.
Yeah.
It was a complete head trip. I mean, I liked it. I don't know how popular it will be because it feels. If you don't know a lot about it, I would think it would be very confusing because you don't know what's in his head and what's outside of his head as far as what's going on. I mean, the character is the son of Xavier, I think, or whatever. But anyway, he's I just think it's just kind of it's bonkers. It's not. I mean, I liked it, but it's like I said, it's all kind of a complete head trip. He doesn't know what's reality and what's not reality. I mean, literally by the end of the show, the first show is an hour and a half long. He's going, "Is this really real?" As they're escaping, he's being broken out of. The government has him, and a group of mutants are basically breaking to break him out for some reason we don't know why. And at the end of it, he's literally going. I mean, is this really real or is this not? And they're like, yeah, it's real. And so you still don't know by the end of it how much of it is him just having a head trip and how much of it's really going he's really doing stuff or whatever. I enjoyed it, but like I said, I can't imagine it's way different than other Marvel TV shows. Well, I take that back. It's way different than like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that, but not as dark as and gritty as what the Netflix shows have been. So it's kind of somewhere in between the two. But
And this is on Netflix?
No, this is on FX.
Okay, I'm going to look it up. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, but it, like I said, it's pretty trippy too, as far as what's going on with him. So, yeah. Any other Marvel-y?
Speaking of Netflix, the first official Iron Fist like real trailer dropped for Netflix this week, and it's some of it's reused clips from that teaser we got right after San Diego Comic Con, but the rest of it is newer footage and like dialogue between characters.
I haven't. Yeah, I'd say I haven't watched that. I mean, I plan on watching the show, but I haven't watched the.
Yeah. One of my friends compared it to like the first episode of Arrow, where he's like, it's a rich guy coming back from being lost for years, trying to take over his company and expunging evil from the city. And I'm just like, I guess.
Well, but that is the character, right? I mean, that is the character's basic story.
Yeah.
Then what they chose to do with it. I mean, but that's kind of the basic story for quite a few characters, isn't it?
Yeah. Some of my friends are less inclined to reading the books and more watching the flashy pictures on TV.
Oh, okay.
So that's where their information comes from.
Oh, sure. So they're just naive. Okay. You can school them. You can school them. Keep them on track.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. Get them that Matt Fraction and Ed Brubaker and what's the artist's name?
That's the it's the one with like him. It's a white cover. Him standing in like the left side, and it's got a purple dragon down the middle.
Yeah.
I'm buying that on Amazon this week. I just got a gift card.
Nice. It is excellent.
I won't get that.
It is. Yeah. It is really, really good. Those. I think there's two trades. Two trades of that story are. I'm getting excellent.
I was going to get the first trade of that.
Aja. The artist is Aja, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, sure enough. Let's roll on to DC. Unless we got other Marvel stuff we want to talk about. What do we want to talk? What do we want to talk DC? Rez, what do we want to talk?
Let's see. I guess I can knock this out the way. Scooby-Doo Apocalypse.
Sweet.
The Hanna-Barbera. Yeah. This issue pretty much had a dream sequence in here where in Velma, because I always say Welma, but Velma in here was having, and you didn't, it wasn't approached in the very beginning where we knew it was a dream. So I thought I missed the issue. And I was like, well, what's going on here? Why is she a queen of? So apparently, we already know the apocalypse turned everyone in the world into like docile humans, and then transformed them into monsters. So in this particular issue, Velma is in control of the monsters. She somehow uses technology that she had at hand from her brother's research project, and she was able to turn all the monsters into her servants and into her, I guess, her legion of followers. And now she's utilizing these monsters to bring Shaggy, Daphne, Fred, and Scooby to her to pretty much let them know, like, hey, your only choice is now to either fall in line and join me or die, and if you do follow me, I'll have to turn you into a monster because I won't allow you to stay in human form. And Daphne was caught first. Fred, because he's so in love with Daphne, he goes after her, and then of course Shaggy and Scooby go after Fred to help him. And we see that Velma her forces are really strong, and she has a lot of people or a lot of monsters in her kingdom, and that she will win pretty much. And right when it comes to the point where she actually confronts the rest of the group and tells them, hey, this is your only choice, they refuse her after they find out that she murdered Daphne. Then we find out that's a dream sequence. They wake up from it. And she wakes up from it. Velma does. And we see her go off to somewhere to actually stop and turn back time pretty much to stop this apocalypse from happening, or stop it in its in its tracks, and try to fix everything that she's done. So it was a really good issue. I'm not really the biggest fan of dream sequences and stuff like that. Like, right. Oh, hey, this never happened. But I did like this issue, and it was really, really good. Of course, illustrations are really nice. I do love seeing that they put this kind of all these characters into a different light. Like, for instance, we know that Daphne and Fred are together, right? In the cartoon series, they love each other. But in here, pretty much Daphne doesn't really love Fred the way he loves her. He pretty much chases after her. He proposed to her 1,200 times. She denied him 1,200 times. She told him that she just looks at him as a friend, but he won't take that as an answer. And he just keeps trying to beat into her that they should be together. And everyone else, she's told everyone else, hey, I don't love that guy. He's crazy. It's just like roles are just reversed or tweaked so much that it's just so different. And I love it. I really love Scooby-Doo Apocalypse.
It's got to be a good book. Just look at the beard on Shaggy, right?
I know, right? I said, when you add a beard in, everything's just better,
Gotta get a shirt that says that. All better with a beard. Right.
Yeah. All hell beard.
Yeah. Let's see. I want to talk All-Star Batman.
Oh, that was
Anybody
this
else
week?
Oh yeah.
Oh, did you?
Let me see your cover. This is the cover I got.
Nice. So is yours who did yours? Is yours a Francavilla or is that another?
Oh yeah, you know it.
Tula toy. Okay. Sweet. So you didn't read this, Fred?
No, I thought it was last week, and I'm like, I'll put it aside in case.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we won't talk in depth about it. I enjoyed this issue as much as when Snyder was on Batman. I'm like, okay, it reached a point where I was starting to get tired of Snyder, and I was thinking, man, there should be somebody else do Batman for a while. Get somebody else's take on Batman. I will say this is a refreshing for the struggle I have with the regular Batman title. I enjoy this. I like Snyder's kind of take on some of the villains and whatnot. This one clearly is a Poison Ivy centric one. This new arc, this whole Ends of the Earth arc. The first one had Mr. Freeze in it and had some stuff going on. This is the next part of that. There's some bigger thing going on that I don't know that we're completely clued in on. But I just kind of like this, him adventuring around, kind of confronting in one way or another the villains, and each issue has some attempts to have some sort of connection with them in some way. Most of this story is told through Pamela than it is through Batman. And yeah, I don't know. I just kind of liked it, and I'm a big fan of Tula LaToy. Her art looks different than other people's, and so I enjoy it for just being kind of looking at a different kind of a thing. And then the backup story, the story with Duke, I'm not so excited by that, but just because I'm not really a big Duke fan, I think. So I don't, I know there's going to be some smart thing about that with the whole color wheel, and he's going through the colors or whatever, but I don't know. I like the art though, Francavilla art. I like Francavilla, the colors he uses. The kind of oranges and pinks and raspberry colors and whatnot that he uses in his art. I think it's pretty cool.
I think there was Tula LaToy's art in here, and Francavilla just did the cover.
Francavilla does the backup story. There's a backup story in the backup.
Yeah, I think you're right. That backup story was definitely Francavilla.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah,
but yeah, I liked it too. I liked all the art.
Yeah. So you want to read it, Fred? Get on it.
Yeah. I was just kind of taken back because I thought I had missed an issue, because I was like, that Mr. Freeze story was super short compared to like that Two-Face run we had.
Right.
And, like, Freeze is one of my favorite villains, so I was like, yes, his time in the spotlight.
Yeah.
One issue. I was like, damn it.
I agree with you. That was a little too short for me. I thought it was going to be another. I feel like I did after reading this issue. I feel like I missed the issue as well. Give me one moment, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Russ.
I was going to say that although it, I wish Mr. Freeze lasted a little bit longer, but this issue dealing with Poison Ivy, because she's one of my favorite characters actually, and so I loved seeing her in here. I love the way Tula LaToy illustrates her. It's just so beautiful. Just look at that. It's just so pretty. I can't stop staring at it. But I like seeing her and Batman sort of work together, kind of.
Right.
Not really. Like, kinda.
Yeah, I always enjoy her not played as just a straight villain.
Yeah.
She has her own motivations. Sometimes those motivations are good for everybody, and sometimes those motivations are bad for everybody. Kind of a thing. But yeah, I think this whole storyline is going to be, each issue is kind of there's a bigger picture going on of what Batman is up to and stuff. But each issue is now going to just be a single issue with a villain in it. Next issue after this is going to be the Mad Hatter, kind of a thing. So it's just gonna, now it's just kind of gonna keep bumping along. Why that first arc was this big long thing with Two-Face, I don't know. Why he felt the need to tell that story that way, and he's telling this one this way. But it's definitely given us this is the arc that's gonna give us the those first covers or that first advertisement we saw for this. They gave us those silhouettes of 12 different villains. This is the arc that's going to give us the touching down on all of those things. So, but this story does touch on what happened in the last issue. So,
did they announce?
But what's confusing though, honestly, when you the first you said that first arc where it was just him and Two-Face.
Yeah.
Harvey Dent. What kind of confused me is the fact that the only one issue out of it was just the best, which was issue 3. Out of that whole arc, and then it just went downhill. I feel like it didn't feel like it ended, like the whole series ended after that. After they finally he got the serum and everything, and then they jumped into that Mr. Freeze one where Jock did the art, and I was so confused. I was like, okay, so this is still going on. I thought it was gonna just wrap up after that whole Two-Face and Battle Royale with those two, and then it just went on to the Mr. Freeze, and now it's doing Poison Ivy. It feels like it's just a different book. These last few books have been felt like there's a different story completely.
Yes, I will say that just because for me personally, the quality of art and storytelling visually is so much higher than what the Two-Face stuff was. That's to me largely so. Plus the fact, except for a few moments of psychodrama between him and Harvey, it was pretty much a straightforward kind of a chase story. Them running and everybody's chasing after them. So I just didn't think that was, as much as I love Two-Face, I didn't think that was a very interesting story. Whereas this one, to me, just the first issue, the issue with Mr. Freeze, it felt way more personal. Everything about it felt way personal. And that other arc should have been personal. It just didn't have the right elements in it. And I think that this one has just different elements in it. And that's why I think it's strikingly different. You're right. It just didn't, but I think that has a lot to do with the visual storytelling of the artists that are on these first 2 books versus what was on that stuff.
That was the main, I guess, component that changed everything. I mean, I think the art was definitely something that changed it, but also too, it's obviously the same writer, different illustrations. Why does the writing change so drastically is beyond me too. Because I mean, if I had to pinpoint better issues, this issue we just read was really good. I mean, it was really good, and obviously Mr. Freeze is really good too. But yeah, I mean, the writing just feels like it's someone else writing, not even Scott Snyder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, it still seems Snyder-like, but this feels more inspired than the Two-Face stuff. The Two-Face story seemed very generic, largely.
Yeah, it was generic. It was just, like I said, it was only one issue that I found so good, and everything else around it, from issues 1 to 2, then from 4 to, was it, I think 6 maybe, or 5? It was just like, blah, blah, blah. What is going on here? Yeah, for 5. And so 6 and 7 so far have been really good. I just don't, I mean, honestly, with the yo-yoing, I'm surprised I stuck on.
Yeah.
I really am.
Well, I only stuck with the book because I knew the artists that were coming, because I was struggling with that first arc personally. I do not care for, I liked JR way back in the day, back when he was doing New Mutants way back in the day and whatnot. That was great back then when I was a kid. Now it's so hard to read. I'm so glad I'm not reading Suicide Squad, because now he's the artist on Suicide Squad. So I'm glad I'm not reading that. But yeah, it was a struggle, and I just pulled through because I knew what was coming. I knew that Jock was coming. I knew that Tula Toyo was coming. I knew that I was going to get Francavilla, and that's the good stuff. So I just kind of wrote it out to this.
Who's doing the Hatter story?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's doing the Hatter story.
Would it be too greedy of me to ask that Tim Sale comes back to do that? Because I read that standalone for Long Halloween, like the extra tie-in they did, and that book is phenomenal. And I just want to see him do Hatter again.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I don't know that we're gonna get that, but that would be
like there's like a 90% chance we won't. But
right.
Is it bad that I still haven't read The Long Halloween yet?
You know what? I'm an ardent Batman fan, and I read The Long Halloween 2 years ago. Is when I finally got around to reading it.
Yeah, I've read Court of Owls and Hush, but I have not read.
Yeah, it's and the version of the Long Halloween that I read is a black and white noir version, so there's no color. It's a hardback. That's what I read it. So I actually hadn't read it until I got that version of it. So
the coloring adds a lot to it.
Yeah.
The coloring impacts more in Dark Victory because of some of the ways he frames that book. Like his Mr. Freeze is just a separation of colors, and it's fantastic.
I am looking up right now to see who's doing the art on that issue. I hope. Let's see here. It says art by Mark Morales and Giuseppe
Camuncoli?
Yeah.
Oh, that might actually look nice.
Yeah. So
I like Giuseppe. He's doing art, right? I like his art.
Yeah. So that's who's doing the art on that coming issue. So I'm liking these. I'm liking, like I said, these one shots of the villain. There's an overreaching story arc, but we get kind of each one of these things have had their own flavor based on the villain. Clearly, the Mr. Freeze one had a very Mr. Freeze feel to it. This one had the Poison Ivy feel to it. So I'm just kind of gonna roll with what's here. I'm enjoying this, and I'll just forget about the first 5 issues of the series.
What about her powers? I know we're probably trying to move on, but I liked how they depicted her powers in here too. Like they didn't try to overreach, and I feel like it was Poison Ivy. You know how sometimes you feel like they're overreaching. Like it was a one miniseries I read with her and Solomon Grundy, and it was like I think when you talked about it when I had posted on Instagram, and I read that one, and the way they depicted her in there, I just didn't like. But in this one, I felt like, okay, she was talking to that one guy at the gas station or a convenience store or the trading post, and they were talking, and she looked at him and gave him that gaze, and gave much, and put him in a trance.
Right. The pheromone control versus having a giant fleas time trap come and scoop him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But I appreciated that. I appreciated how they played her out.
Yeah, for sure. What else? Fred, what do you got? What do you want to talk about?
Justice League Power Rangers.
Justice League Power Rangers.
I picked up the first issue and I wasn't sure how I felt. This issue still kind of iffy for me, but the best part was the end when you find out like who the villain team up is, because it's Zed, the original villain, and Brainiac. And like Zed starts tapping on the like glasses that Brainiac keeps the bottle cities in, and Brainiac goes, "Don't do it. The citizens hate it." But no, like just as a guilty like pickup, this is definitely one of the better ones that I have.
Cool. I am like a zero Power Ranger fan, so it has no interest whatsoever to me. But
that the one they're referencing, like the original series, I didn't grow up with. I had like a couple of VHSs my cousin gave me after he like passed them down. I grew up with a later series, but I'm still like just for kicks and giggles, I'm doing it.
Sure. Right on. Cool. So
my kids love Power Rangers. I'm surprised I missed that book.
Yeah. Thankfully, my kids were into Power Rangers, so I didn't have to deal with them being all amped up, jumping around the house, karate chopping stuff all the time. So,
I've only broken a couple of things as a kid.
Oh, there you go. So, Rez, got any others you want to talk about?
Batman Detective Comics.
Batman Detective Comics.
Yeah. I love your
You have the cool one with the sword on it and whatnot. Yeah, I think mine's the regular cover. I think you have the variant.
See, sometimes those regular covers look good. You know,
Yeah.
I be missing out because I'm always picking a variant every single time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this issue dealt mainly with Cassandra Cain, and she also known as Orphan, where she is battling with the inability to speak and express herself. And this character was very, very kind of in the background for me. I didn't really know she existed, especially when I jumped in as late as I did with Batman Detective Comics. So this was really nice to actually be introduced to her and given all this backstory on her and her character, and the relationships that she had with her father, and her relationship with Batman, and how he saw something in her, and how he also has the suspicions that she may turn on him too as well. I mean, I really, really liked seeing all that, because I didn't know who she was. I knew that she was, you know, like I know from last issue when not last issue, was it last issue or issue before, where spoiler, Stephanie had made the comment that they should check her out. They should try to find out why she's not speaking, and how Batman's pretty much ruined everyone, and you know how they should stop being heroes. I kind of felt like we got to see exactly who she is, who Cassandra is, like why she's dealing with what she's dealing with, and just seeing her do things like stalking this one dancer, trying to express herself through dance, and then you know, we also see some kind of situation go a situation go down with was it Clayface Clay, is it Clayface or Mudface?
Clayface.
Yeah, Clayface with Luke, and you know, we see her spying on them. It pretty much illustrated that she is just always in the background. No one notices her. That she's just invisible to everyone, and she just feels, I guess, she just feels like no one really cares that she's there or that she's not there.
Well, or at least we at least get the feeling that she's very isolated, because I think she kind of expresses the fact that like clearly like Harper cares, you know, at the very beginning, because she's asking her what's wrong, you know, what's up, and of course she can't express herself, kind of a thing. And clearly Batman cares in some sense because he's asking about her, but of course he's also guarded because that's just how Batman is, you know, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they spend a lot of time giving us the idea that she would like to express herself, but can't. So she's isolated. She's very, very isolated, despite, you know, there are people around here who might care, but she can't really relate with them too.
Why exactly? I mean, because even though they're saying she can't, they're still not saying why. And I know I obviously missed that part in the story, or maybe it hasn't came out yet.
It wasn't in this. I believe it was in Batman and Robin Eternal. They go into it a little more detail. Fred, did you read Batman and Robin Eternal?
I read the first volume of that, and I read there's a collected volume of Batgirl when Cassandra Cain was Batgirl under Oracle.
Well, right, but I know why she was mute. She was literally completely mute. Yeah. When the character's first introduced, she was introduced as Batgirl, or she became Batgirl at one point way back in the day, and she was legitimately mute. She could not talk at all. But I think this version of it,
I was gonna say in Eternal, isn't her dad like makes her, like forces her to be mute? Like she can speak, he just never teaches her how.
Yeah, it's
that
something.
Makes sense for this one then.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, she has a deficit that she's not able to really put words together.
It was like he wanted her to be like the perfect assassin, so she like needed to learn how to like listen instead of speak.
Yeah.
So like, and like there was no contact besides him, so she didn't need to learn how to talk to anybody.
Yeah, I believe that's what it is. Maybe somebody in the comments who read that will let us know. Yeah. But I believe that's what it is. It's just the fact is that she is. I would guess if she goes to enough speech therapy, she might be able to figure out how to talk.
Heartbreaking. Oh my God, I'm just like knowing. I'm just like so sad for this girl. Oh my Lord.
Before speech therapy, she needs like regular therapy.
Well, yeah, that too, clearly.
I mean, like we were talking about her dad treating her as a weapon, but goodness gracious, for her not to speak and her not to teach her, this is awful.
It was some weird thing with like, it was kind of like a Court of Owls type situation where like there was a league of like assassins again, and like this woman needed like the perfect child assassin. So like her student had a kid, and then he tried teaching her how to do it. I read through it in like a day because I didn't really care. So
Right. I really like the art in this part too. New artist to me, I'm not familiar with. Who was the artist? It was
Kara, right?
yeah, but I think one of the things that really makes it stand out is Dean White's colors. Dean White is actually a pretty accomplished colorist. He had been doing a bunch of independent work for quite some time, but now is back doing superhero books again, I think. But there was some stuff. There was definitely some work in here I really, really enjoyed. I really like the colors a lot. I think it really made it stand out. I enjoyed this. Giving us the background, kind of hopefully they don't keep forgetting about her now, because she really has been kind of a non-player in the book since the Rebirth, book has started up. She's kind of been there, but really hasn't had a purpose. So they've kind of given her a voice, as it were, even though she doesn't have one in this issue. So now I hope they take that forward. They've taken the time to kind of point her out. Now I hope they take the time to actually have her be a character in the book, as opposed to just being window dressing, which is kind of what to my opinion, what she's been up to this point in the book. I don't feel like she's had a lot of stuff, but clearly she's going to have a big thing if they're bringing the League of Shadows. All the assassins are going to be coming in. Shiva there at the very end. That's going to be a huge thing. So yeah, I'll be curious to see how that all plays out. I'm assuming that means we're going to get more story with her, because her being the elite assassin that she is. I really enjoyed the Azrael story that's in this too. The whole artificial intelligence, him giving himself over to his suit, kind of a thing. That whole conversation, I liked it quite a bit too. The only story I didn't like in here, I didn't like the big picture story, the one at the very end, and then this is purely why I do not like Tim Drake. I have never liked Tim Drake. He's a know-it-all, and of course, how do they portray him in here? He clearly, being the second world's greatest detective, knows that Batman's up to something. Whatever.
Yeah, I didn't care about that last story. I started reading it. I was like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like I said, it's not I'm not a fan of that character. I'm not looking forward to him coming back. I know he is at some point here soon, but yeah. Anybody else wants to say about it? Go ahead, Fred.
I like the cover. Like, I haven't read it yet, but the cover was nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like 2-3 issues behind, but I'm in the middle of reading Nightfall right now. So
nice.
Azrael playing a big part in that, I was like, oh, this is a nice cover. I'll get it.
Right. Cool. Yeah. It's interesting. They kind of give us a overview on how he operates, how he has his power and how he gets away with doing the stuff that he does, which was kind of cool, especially if you're somebody who does not know the character. It's a way to kind of go, okay, this is how he's a little bit different than everybody else, and how he operates. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so Fred, what else did you read DC wise? What'd you get right?
I actually read Deathstroke, which was pretty cool. Nice.
So
this follows up probably my favorite issue in the series so far, which was Chicago.
This follows that up. I haven't been getting Deathstroke. I got the first couple issues. Yeah. I bought the Chicago issue just because it had the Creeper in it. I love the Creeper. Yeah. I want to see if they were going to bring him back to being the character he used to be, which they do. Yeah. As far as a single shot kind of an issue, I really love that. I didn't realize the story was going to keep going. So,
well, this plays off of some of the stuff that happens in that issue. Okay. The Red Lion comes back and busts Sleight out of prison after Superman locks him up. Well, gets him locked up. And he's like, hey, there's a guy running around in Chicago saying he's you. Like, you might want to look into that. And then just lets him go. He's like, I'll call back my favor later. And then so Slade uses that information to say that he couldn't have been committing the crimes. Like, Slade can't get locked up because Deathstroke was still out there while Slade was in prison. But nice. He's threatening people in the Deathstroke costume. And then he ends up finding that character Raptor, who showed up in Nightwing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He ends up working with, I think, the Red Lion or somebody else, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he works with the Red Lion, and he has the suit that Deathstroke left behind, that original Icon suit. Mm-hmm. And Deathstroke goes to fight them, and Jericho is with his fiance for a couple pages. he collapses in the bathroom because the guy that created the icon suit to begin with, that he ends up stealing, is haunting him in his subconscious. And there's a story about Rose trying to fit in with her mom's people as usual.
Sure.
But she's still threatening to like kill everybody. And they're sorting out that story of how like her boyfriend was trying to kill her, but he was really a hit placed by Deathstroke, so Deathstroke could spend quality time with his daughter.
Right.
Because Deathstroke doesn't know how to dad properly.
Yeah, the last issue of Deathstroke I picked up that I was regularly reading was that end of the stuff there in Gotham where they had kidnapped Damian. Yeah.
But no, as a follow-up to Chicago, I'm not going to say it's as strong as Chicago, but using that as a basis makes this issue better. Like,
sure.
I don't know if they're going to get better than that one shot just because of how topical it was, but also like how well it played both sides of the story. Like if I could have been on that week to talk about it, I would not have stopped talking about that issue. Like it was
right. We didn't do a show that week, I don't think.
Oh, was it that week?
Yeah, because I don't think we did it that week because I would have talked about it too because I loved it. Like I said, I love the reintroduction of the Creeper back to the old version of the Creeper. Love that character. Just really smart. The Conway pencils with Sekowitz inking over the top of it. Amazing to see those guys, working in a book.
Like in a lot of books, they try to play like a political commentary, like one way or the other. And I'm not going to say I agree or disagree with the writer either way. But in that issue, Priest was like, here's how one side sees it. Here's how the other side sees it. Align yourself as you will. Like Deathstroke is Deathstroke. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Because the topic in that issue was basically the whole, the people being killed, all the people being killed in Chicago clearly is is an issue here in the United States. Chicago is, people are dying, crazy amount of people are dying due to gun violence and whatnot. And you get both sides of the story. You get the victims, the families of the victims, the moms, basically pooling all of their church money together and hiring Deathstroke, to go on and take care of these guys. And then you get the whole other side of it. Look, having somebody go out and shoot up the people that are shooting people up just creates more people shooting each other up. How does that work, kind of a thing? So both ends of it were really.
And the beginning of that story where it was like the detective comes on the scene and he's like, oh, it's a simple, like, she thought she was going to be attacked, so she shot them. And then the guy turns around, he's like, yeah, but like what actually happened was like,
it was a drug buy gone bad. Yeah.
No, it was the two guys were trying to help the woman whose car died.
Right.
And she shot a kid who wasn't supposed to be out because he was drug dealing.
Right.
And he's like, depending on how you spin the story, you can see it how you want it, but like the facts are the facts.
Right. It was really, like I said, it was really smart. It was an excellent issue. Maybe like go, oh man, maybe I should be, maybe because the first stuff was fun, but I wasn't like really gripped. And that issue was so smart. I was like, man, maybe I've screwed up not still being on this book if it's going to keep telling that kind of smart story.
This slides back more towards the fun and less the smart, but like it's still good because it plays the line.
Yeah, cool. The only other issue I picked up, or that I read, I don't know if I picked up, I got a bunch of Supergirl and Superwoman stuff like that, was Wonder Woman. This is the first part of the Godwatch arc, issue number 16. New artist on it, Blisk Everly, who I just absolutely adore her work. It's just got the right amount of detail, the right amount of classic kind of a look to Wonder Woman and some of the other characters in there. There's some characters in this that look an awfully like. One thing I will say is there's a couple women in here that look an awful lot like each other. I mean, there's a woman that looks kind of like Wonder Woman, except she's wearing glasses. When I was first reading, I was almost thinking, is this like some alternate identity for Wonder Woman? She's like incognito, except she's, of course, that character has a bunch of tattoos. So clearly it's not Wonder Woman, but it was like, that's kind of strange and whatnot. And it took me a little bit to adjust to who these characters were because they were in other issues of Wonder Woman, but because they're drawn enough differently, I wasn't 100% sure, who those characters were in that. So we're kind of still not telling the perfect, we're not up to the modern story. We're not the year one. We're somewhere like 6 months after that year one. But Yeah, I really like it. I mean, it's interesting. You're curious to see what happens. I think we get by the end of this issue, we get why this woman, she really did not like Wonder Woman before, and now I think she completely hates Wonder Woman by no fault of Wonder Woman whatsoever, but kind of just the way it plays out. So yeah, Wonder Woman, still digging it. Righty, any other books we want to talk about?
I got The Flash.
Sweet. What's going on in The Flash?
It's continuing the Rogues Reloaded storyline, which kind of reminds me of there was one in like the New 52. It was like volume 2. It was like the Rogues Rebirth or whatever. Something weird like that. Pretty much in the start of the Flash run, there's a thunderstorm. Everybody got Speed Force powers, and the Rogues disappear like during that time because there's and Barry kind of like lets them go off the map. Now they're coming back, and Barry's like, where'd they all go? In the last issue, Mirror Master distracted Barry long enough that the Rogues could create havoc in Central City. And Flash comes back, and he's like, I got to figure out their plan. He finds Heatwave, I believe his name is. Yeah, at his old house. Apparently, like his house burned down when he was a kid, and that's when he became a pyromaniac because of like the shock. He finds him, and then he's like, oh wait, the Rogues are a family. They wouldn't leave one of their own behind. So he lets Heatwave win and then tracks them down to the yacht they're trying to escape on. Flash beats everybody except Captain Cold, who is one of my favorite villains. I have a weird thing with Cold villains. And he ends up freezing Flash, and then the one piece of technology that everybody was stealing stuff. And Iris West goes to tell Flash at a crime scene, like what Captain Cold stole. And Barry's like, yeah, whatever, later on. Like, tell me later. I'll got to catch these guys now. Captain Cold stole something from Black Hole, one of the villains they introduced early on in the series.
Right.
And now he's, like, souped up his cold gun, so it's, like, even stronger and, like, deadlier. And it looks like a crazy sci-fi weapon he's got pointed at Barry's face. And he's like, it's my black ice gun.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, the art in the series is weird. It's done by some guy whose name I can't pronounce. There are moments where it's like really ugly, but then there are like really cool looking moments, and I'm like, I hate this book. I love this book. I don't know.
Yeah. Huh. Is that the same artist that's been on the book pretty much most of the time?
No, they keep changing every once in a while.
Okay.
It's weird. Like he was doing just covers for a while, and then he transitioned over into like being the artist for the book. And then I think they have a new cover artist. So if they keep like previewing the artist on the covers, it seems like a pretty smart idea because like the Flash covers are always fantastic. It's just the interior that gets a little messy.
Yeah, I'm going to be picking up some Flash books here later on because I'm going to get that stupid button crossover baloney that's coming in a couple months. But
I thought that came out already because everybody was talking about it, and I was like, I missed
no,
it.
they just started showing the lenticular covers because they're doing, one of the covers you can get is a lenticular cover. So you see Batman, it's Batman and the Flash. They're both holding the smiley face button up in front of them. And when you bend the cover, it's either the Flash or it's Batman. Except it's hilarious because to me it looks like they're holding on to a frosted cookie, grimmily looking at a frosted cookie, going cookie, cookie. So whatever. Any other DC books, DC news, DC anything we feel the need to talk about?
Might have been this week again, more in the realm of movies. I guess a bunch of higher ups all agreed that like the Batman script was good to go.
Oh, okay.
And I think they may have agreed on a director. Don't quote me on that one. But
okay, yeah, because Affleck decided he wasn't doing it, right? Yeah.
I know, like the lead runner was the guy who's directing all the Planet of the Apes movies. I saw something he may have like officially been chosen, but I know he was like the favorite to do it.
Okay. No idea.
I'm curious to know if they're gonna hire back on what's his name to play Joker again.
Oh, Jared Leto.
Yeah, Jared Leto.
Yeah.
I feel for the guy though. I feel for him.
I don't. Not after his behavior.
Yeah, well, his behavior was definitely like, what's crazy to me is like I understand him not being satisfied for him to dog the entire I guess, franchise or movie afterwards. Like like really sealed the deal on him not coming back. But I wonder. I'm just curious if they will. I mean, like, I think people are going to call people. They're going to call them out, of course, if they choose a completely different actor. And people are like, "Whoa, you know, like, why not keep Jared Leto on for a little bit longer?" You know?
Well, because he was creepy as all get out, and didn't play fair. He had to have known he wasn't the star of the movie.
I think honestly, I feel like he went into it not, you know, like hoping that his performance was going to be so good that they would have to had made him the star.
But he read the script. He had to have read the script.
Yeah, I think he was hoping for the best. You know how you hope for the best kind of situation?
Sure. What, they're going to suddenly in the middle of the movie rewrite the script and make him the main bad guy? Well, he's a side story for Harley Quinn. He's not even, you know, I mean.
They probably told him he was going to get like Heath Ledger levels of like fame if he did it, and he was like, "I'm on board."
Well,
that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, I think that's what happened.
You can't compete with a dead man.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
He should have known. He should have known that was, good luck.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, like, after the initial reviews, he didn't like fake his own death to try to get more popular.
Well, you know what's crazy though? After his behavior and after all this whole entire performance, people believe he's the worst Joker.
Yeah.
And so it's sad. It's like he tried to attain this notoriety for being the better Joker, and it just went completely left for him.
Yeah. Well, I feel sorry for the actresses having to put up with this crap too. But
them dead rats and stuff. I thought that was pretty normal though, considering how these people get.
So if I send you a dead rat, you're gonna be okay with that, huh? You go, oh, that's normal. That's normal.
No, I'm saying as far as normal for like actors. Like
oh, so you don't think actors are like regular people too, huh?
No, they're regular, but I think that's what they do when they're method actors. You know, like they usually do weird stuff like that, like send each other like locks of their hair.
Yeah, so even method actors aren't that kind of.
They usually just like lock themselves in rooms and like cause depression on themselves and stuff, and like not eat for weeks. That's about it.
Right. They don't send spent condoms to their co-stars. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just saying.
I did think that was kind of ridiculous, but I was like, yeah, maybe that's just what they do, you know.
Well, I mean, if they were okay with that, fine. But clearly, all those people said we would have never known about that at all, right? Except for those people who are not okay, and they all said, "Look, we're not okay with this." So.
Oh, really? I thought it was being told because it was something to get him more notoriety for playing the Joker. You know,
I guess, except for the impression I got from some of those people that it was not just her, the woman who played Waller.
Oh, you mean Viola Davis? I love her.
Who has zero contact in the movie. Those two characters have zero contact, right?
Yeah.
And he was still sending her shit.
That's weird.
Strange. So it's not like he was trying to build a rapport. And there's no rapport between Deadshot and the Joker in the movie.
No, I think Jared Leto just has a thing for Will Smith.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's just all kind of
like when they put out like the announcements that he was doing that. I think they tried to put that spin on it, like, oh, look at him, he's quirky, he's crazy like the Joker.
That's what I thought too. See it?
But like, I think the cast was all like, we are not cool with this. But Warner Brothers was like, we have to sell this movie.
Right.
I was thinking the same thing. That they were doing it to get more publicity for the movie. Like they want people to know that he's really getting into the role. So let's go ahead and pump this out and show the media that we got a crazy Joker coming on the way. He's gonna be great. You know.
I think once it broke that he was doing the stuff, that's what they tried to do. That was how they're trying to save face on it. But yeah.
Okay. I could have been either way.
Yeah, I don't think too many people are cool with having biohazardous stuff for them.
I'm surprised he was able to even send it. I mean, because you're not allowed to send stuff like that, right?
You just lie.
No, I know it was all ending up in their trailers.
Yeah.
So he may have just planted it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the gopher that had to deliver that. So
I was gonna say, like, I couldn't pick Jared Leto out of a crowd of one. He may have just been able to sneak around set as much as he wanted to.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah.
At any rate, yeah, I don't know any other like scuttlebutt that's going around right now as far as comic books go. Anyway, right?
Yeah.
We want to move on to some independent books.
Yeah.
Cool.
Can't reach my stack.
Rez, what do you want to talk about first?
Death be damned.
Oh, so you did pick this up. Now
Yeah.
I have the variant cover, right? You have the regular cover, or do I have
Oh
the
my
regular cover?
god! How did you get that?
By accident. I
Oh my
know I
God.
didn't. Because I don't order the variant cover, but
Yeah.
on the back of mine mine says variant US, and then it has Tavarzo 2017. And Tavarzo's the artist that did the cover.
I so want that cover you have. We should trade.
Okay, I'll mail it to you. You can mail me that one because that's the one. I
Yeah,
wanted.
yeah. Because
Mine's the wanted poster. Does yours have this whole wanted thing on the bottom of it?
No, it doesn't have anything on it.
Yeah,
Done.
yeah. But yours is the cover that's by the artist that does the interiors, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because it looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a pretty different book. I like westerns, so I went for this book because of that fact, and the fact that it had "damned" in there in the title and death. So it was like, yeah, okay, I'll get it. But it dealt with a character who apparently returned from the dead, who has the ability to return from the dead several times, who is trying to avenge her family. The first time she wakes up from being dead, she rides a horse that she didn't really like. She buries her father, and then she goes on a mission to avenge the killing of her family, the murdering of her family. She gets to the place where one of the guys who killed her family is, and he immediately shoots her in the head. She is taken in by this native, what do you call it? Coroner, mortician of sorts, and he likes to apparently do autopsies on people and then take their blood and smear it on his body and do a ritualistic dance. And so he did that with her. She wakes up and she believes that he's lying, that there's no way that she's dead or she woke up from the dead. He tries to recruit her to, bring his wife from the underneath, he calls it. And he wants her to bring his wife from the underneath back to him, and she refuses and says she's not here for that. She's here to avenge her family, and then he shoots her dead. I liked it. I mean, it wasn't a strong first issue. I think that I could see where if someone read this, they'd be like, okay, I just read first issue, I'm dropping off. But I liked it enough to stick with it. It is a mini issue. I mean, a mini series.
Yeah, it's 4 issues. So
yeah, 4 issues, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
I mean, basically, this issue sets up the premise. The premise and gives us some characters of a little bit different spin. That there's more to it than just her going to seek revenge for the murder of her family. That there's, like I said, this mortician who clearly, when we were first introduced to him, he's basically kind of butchering another body, doing some sort of ritual, saying some, speaking a different language, trying to do something. We're not sure, what that is. And then we find out what his motivation is. So there's just going to be this kind of push and pull, I think, going into the next issue of him basically going, look, I want you to go and save my wife. And, she's not believing that she's died. I didn't realize until she gets shot and comes back. And I was almost to the end of the book to realize, oh my God, she was dead at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that first scene where she's laying in the water and she's like, I just thought maybe, okay, she's faking that she was dead, or she just kind of got knocked out over and then wakes up. I didn't realize that she had probably been, this 2 panels, clearly that's a stretch of time has gone by. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that when I was first reading through this to realize, oh, damn, she was dead. They killed her too, like everybody else, right?
I knew she was dead when I saw the flies that were surrounding her body.
Right. Yeah, and I guess it didn't sink in that she was coming back from the dead there until we get later on in the book, and then she's shot and comes back again. And I'm like, and then when I originally saw it, I'm like, oh, the ritual he was doing must have worked on her. And then I went, no, that's oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Like I said, I'm like you. I'm a big Western fan. Anything that's got a Western themed horror-ish kind of thing, I'm on board to try and read. So I enjoyed this first issue. Like I said, I think it sets up a lot of premise to give us an idea of what the story is going to be about. Some of the art isn't the strongest, maybe. as far as that goes, but it's serviceable to the story. So I'm fine with that. Like I said, I like some of it better than other parts. The artist in this is, I think she does like the backup stories in Harrow County. I think the Harrow County book has backup stories in it, because that's one of the reasons why I picked the book up. Is I saw, it's got some people from Harrow County in it. It'll probably be good then, because I've kind of enjoyed that. So I will I'll check it out. So
Yeah, I see what you mean too. Yeah, the art being like the features on faces kind of was a little, and then there was one scene where we had like the one guy getting hung for killing for that kind of seemed out of place a little bit too. There was just like,
yeah, right. It looks like he's striking like he's dancing. So is he happily swinging and dying? But what I don't understand is it shows him hanging, but here his hands are tied. So I don't know. This kind of weird panel break thing to break this panel was really strange. I was confused about that. And this is some art that I don't like, because I don't like this guy's laying across, the hitching post.
Yeah.
But where the hell's the rest of his body at one? I don't know. That element bothered me too. So there were a couple places like that where I was like, okay, I understand you drew the elements that were important, but you need to draw all the elements. I mean, there needs to be some vague resemblance of something else there. Otherwise, the guy doesn't look like he has the bottom half of his body. But I mean, there's good stuff. And this kind of whole she's dead and kind of dreaming for a few seconds. I like that. That was, that was intriguing and interesting and stuff. So, yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's not something. Yeah, it definitely has some issues, and like I said earlier, it could be a hit or miss with some people. I think jumping onto something like this.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it though. I mean,
I liked it.
For four issues, I'm on board to see where it goes to and whatnot.
I think by this point we already ordered all four issues, or about
at least three, right? At least three.
Yeah, at least three.
Yeah. So cool. Fred, what you pick? What you read?
So this I've seen solicitations for online. I had no context going into it, and it was just sitting on the shelf of the shop. I'm like, gonna get that. Empowered in the Soldier of Love, issue 1 of 3. I didn't know what it was. Didn't know what it was. It is the best way I can describe it is just an orgy issue.
An orgy issue?
Like sex?
It's yeah, like it is just
I gotta get my pen so I can write this down. What's the title?
I know, right? I gotta get this.
Empowered in the Soldier of Love. It's one of it's from Dark Horse. I guess she's a pre-existing character. I've seen her reference before. Like at the end of the book, they have an old advertisement for one of her books, and I recognize that image. There's this one character called the Soldier of Love, and like she keeps popping up, and all these different heroes from like this city that like all these heroes populate are just hooking up. Like nothing's getting done because they're just having sex everywhere.
Like, God bless America.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like the main character Empowered's like, I have to go to the bathroom when they go to this like superhero nightclub. So she goes in the bathroom and there's like 3 people hooking up in a stall, and she's like, and the other stall's taken, so I can't like use it. And the Soldier of Love's in there, and she's like affecting people somehow. And then like they need to get into like their Quint jet kind of. So they go there, and a couple of characters are hooking up in there, and the main guy's like, well, the rule is if you're like hooking up in there, we can't use it. So got to find a different way to get to where we're going. And there's like 3 pages of like the 2 like strongest heroes in this city like going to duel, and then like they're trying to get over there to stop them, and then it's like these 2 super masculine characters, and they just start making out. And that was the entire hype, and I'm like, what is this book?
What did I just pick up? So the question is, are you going to pick up the rest of them?
I don't know. It's like 4 books an issue. I might drop it. Like this might have been enough.
Awesome.
I'm definitely picking that one up.
So the premise of it is a lot of people are hooking up. A lot of superpowers are hooking up.
Yeah, that is like most of the book, and that is like the least gratuitous thing they show you. And it's like you see like people sexting the entire issue, and they're just like sending each other texts, and it's just like, no, this isn't a comic, is it?
Right on. Oh, that's cool. That's funny. Let's see. What do I want to talk about? I want to talk East of West, just because it's on issue 31, and lots of people don't talk about some of the books that are longer in the tooth. Oh, right on. You got East of West too. Cool. And you read it?
Yeah. Oh no, I was like my independence going through those. Don't care.
Sweet. So, what do you think?
So it's been a while, like since I read the last issue, and like I feel like this is a very slow to come out book, but I enjoyed it. I like the fact that I remembered the flashback they went to, because that's important for comics. Half the time I don't remember the flashback, and I'm like, I don't have a reference for this. But like the fact I got the reference, and the fact that it's a Western book and they had a train heist.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I don't even care that the Four Horsemen didn't like show up at all in this issue. Like, they hit everything else that they needed to hit.
Well, that's one of the things I like about this story long term anyway, is, and for some reason it really works well with East to West. There are so many players in this book, you know, so many moving parts. You got 3 or 4 governments, people about those governments, and then of course the four horsemen of the apocalypse themselves, basically the Antichrist, you know, all these different elements walking around. And it's not like every issue deals with all those elements. It's like you'll get one issue that'll deal with 1 or 2 aspects, and then you'll get the next issue that deals with 2 of the aspects. But you never feel like so much time has passed, or the elements never fall apart, even though there's so many different elements happening in it. It's one of the things I really appreciate the book. It always stays strong, you know, whatever we're on, kind of a thing. And you're right. It's awesome. This is a Western. There's a, classic train heist. And of course, it's high-tech train, but it's still a train heist. That's just all perfect and whatnot. The impact of what's going to happen at the very end of this,
if it does happen,
if it actually happens, is going to be huge. So my question is, the president of the union and her handmaiden, or whatever the heck she is, do they know this is happening? I wasn't 100% sure if they're manipulating these people, or if they truly think they're getting all these weapons and they're going to be screwed.
I think, like, from what I was it just says they made it into the territory. So that means the shipment's there. I don't know if they know that it's been hijacked yet.
Okay. Yeah.
You would think if they have a floating sky train, they'd have to have some way of knowing, like, it's been hijacked immediately.
Well, yeah, it's off the rails, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so too. So I just don't, like I said, I don't know. But the art in the thing continues to be brilliant. I love the coloring.
The fact that the cover even kind of tells you it's going to be a Western book, this issue, more so than any other issue.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I continue to love East to West. I think it's a great book.
My only issue is some of the side characters start to look a lot like the main characters as well. So I'm like, is that intentional, or is that just the fact you can draw 4 faces and that's about it?
Oh well, I guess that could be. Yeah.
Because the girl that's hijacking the train looks like the handmaiden, unless they're saying that they're different people from different ethnicities look similar. These are just different groupings of people. Yeah,
that's a good question. I mean, they're stylized, and that's the style. Yeah. And all the characters have a certain style to them. I mean, almost every character in this has got kind of a pointier nose, right?
Yeah.
I think that's either, I guess, a weakness of them doing the book the way they're doing it, or it's a style that you immediately recognize as being what it is. So I don't know. It doesn't bother me, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I want to pick up the 2 Apocalypse editions. I love this book. I'm not trying to harsh it in any way. It's just sometimes the faces look way too close for me.
Yeah, that's my intention when the whole thing's done, when the whole series is done. I fully plan on picking up whatever the biggest, fanciest, deluxest version of the thing is, just so I can have it sitting on the bookshelf looking sexy, right? So yeah, for sure. Rez, any books you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about Moonshine, issue number 5.
And you got the B cover, right?
Yeah. Is this the Cliff Chang one? I think maybe it doesn't look like a Cliff Chang have cover, but I remember I ordered a Cliff Chang cover.
I don't know. Let's look inside because inside it'll tell us. I thought.
Yeah.
Nope. Variant cover by Wan Do.
Oh, Wando. You know what? It does kind of look like Wando.
Yeah. Who normally we'll see most of his work at is, of course, at Aftershocks right now, right? So.
Yeah. I think I know I usually order the variants for certain series, but yeah, this issue. Honestly, I don't know where this series is going. Really, right. I feel like I'm so confused as to where they're trying to take it. Like, yes, it's about moonshine with alcohol prohibition. They're trying to smuggle this moonshine into New York City. But this one guy, Mr. Pirlo, he I feel like in this issue or either last issue, they're trying to hint at him being this werewolf. He just having lichen. Like maybe him drinking this alcohol is turning him into a lichen, and
right.
he doesn't really realize it. But then it kind of went backwards in this issue, and it just kind of like I still don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't like being confused, and I feel like this one series makes me feel like I don't know what's going on. We had the one woman seducing him and telling him, "Oh, you shouldn't follow me anywhere," and then
Tempest, yeah,
Tempest, and then the father telling him, "Well, now you're never gonna leave. I thought you was a smart man," preaching to him, and then you have the one little girl. I think it was the last issue where she was being really racist, like. And I know that was, in this era and in that particular time, right. That stuff happened. But I don't know why, for some reason, even though I know that happens, it's like, why did it have to be in a book? Because it seemed out of place. Maybe it's just me reading it. I felt like, yeah, we know this happens. We know this is something that's a common occurrence. But it seemed like that nothing came out of it. I like one encounter with the little girl talking to the woman that way, and then we kind of feel like when the woman talked to him, to Mr. Pirlo, mm-hmm. I feel like, okay, what's the relationship again? Because last time we saw those two, she took him in a little bit after he had a drunken stupor, and that was the last time we saw her. So I was kind of feeling like, okay, what's going on between the two? Why is she crying? And I don't know.
Yeah, in that issue that was last issue with the whole, she comes in the back door or whatever. Like she's quote unquote supposed to, but then the little girl is you're right, sassing her and being really racist. What made that, for me anyway, what made that kind of odd was, we clearly know it's the 1920s. We know it's prohibition, so we all have a basic understanding of that racism clearly was prevalent during that era. But it really hasn't been a thing. It is. It's there. It's there, and it's told. And then suddenly, this little girl, it's suddenly way more in your face, right? Is that how it felt to you? That it suddenly was like it went from being the level 3 buzz that it is in the era to suddenly we were like hitting 9 or 10 of the. It was like out of the blue kind of a thing.
Exactly.
I think that it would have been less shocking if the book had been that way all the way along.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes.
Because it's like so it seemed out of place to suddenly have it at that level for other than we did get to see Pirlo basically say, tell the little girl you shouldn't talk that way. So I think we get kind of a sense that Pirlo does not care.
Yeah.
Race for him isn't an issue as far as that goes. So we get a little bit of that in there. I don't know if that was the writer's purpose, was to try and go, oh hey, Pirlo is actually cool. He's not just he doesn't just like the lady because she's a hot lady. He's got no issue with race. Like everybody else in the town kind of seems to clearly do. Yeah. Because that's the era it is. So I don't know if that's what they were attempting. If that's what the writer was attempting to do there. It wasn't a really good way of doing it. I agree with you because it did. It just felt like it went wow. Suddenly it was really in our face. That element of it. Yeah.
And you know what's funny though? I think he does. Brian Azzarello has a tendency to do a lot of his stuff, like 100 Bullets. He did that. He did the same. Didn't he do the same thing where he was kind of really like in your face, like this is how people talk?
He definitely has moments like that. I haven't read the 100 Bullets. I've got the first 2 trades and haven't started reading it yet. But I know he's other stuff that he's written is that way, where he's trying to shock us. He's trying to shock us, but at the same time he's trying to tell us something too. I would hope. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know that it's that's
yeah.
working.
I dropped 100 bullets. I know. And Terrence says, "Oh, you should just read more of it." I want to, but it's just that first volume that I read. That first, I was like, after reading, I was like, no, this is because it just didn't. If the racism that it's fine because we know it's there. We know it happens, but to implement it the way he does, it just doesn't fit. It just always feels like it's a sore thumb. It sticks right out, and it just isn't seem seamless. And with this issue, it's even more noticeable than his other series I've encountered. So yeah, I was kind of like taken aback with that one moment. I was like, okay, yeah, it would have been nice, like you said, to start from the very beginning in that way because that little girl was so sweet, so innocent. Mr. Pillow,
right.
You got a phone call, and then all of a sudden now she's a sassy girl.
But I guess, I get what you're saying, but also I guess in defense of that character change, there hasn't been a black person staying around for her to unleash on, right? Up until this point, up until she's there. Yeah. So we find out that she may be all sweet and innocent, but she's still awful. When clearly she's well schooled in racism.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. It seems like the only thing.
So you hope that I guess I would hope that they do more with it. If they're going to put that in there, you do more with that element. I definitely get what you're saying with this whole book. Where the hell is it going? And me as a reader, I don't have to necessarily know for sure, have it sussed out. Oh, this is the story they're telling. I don't need that. But there's so many kind of odd plot moments in this book that kind of make it hard to follow the story. Not for me, not so much that's confusing. It's just like, what's the point of telling me? What's the point of showing me that element or telling me that part of it? When is it all going to come together? Is it going to come together, kind of thing?
That's what I'm trying to figure out too. And because I read a few issues of She-Wolf, and I found that one more easier to follow, surprisingly, than this. And so.
And then this introduces even more strange elements. His dead sister is now he's hallucinating to the point where he's like either hallucinating seeing her or he's following her ghost or that sort of thing in this. So that's kind of kind of another kind of strange element. That's the first time we've had that. Of course, he's in a lot worse shape now than he has been. I mean, he's basically been chained up to a pole, naked in a barn for we don't know how many days now. Yeah. So maybe he's in a more hallucinatory state.
I do appreciate the nudeness that they showed us in here. I always appreciate nudity in my comics.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, heck yeah. And they don't shy away from any of it. They're going to.
At all. I think that's the best part of this comic.
Yeah, they show him dangling about just as much as they do anything else. So I love the art. I mean, I love the art.
The art's awesome. I have no problems there.
Eduardo Roso's art is amazing, and that's why the biggest reason I keep picking it up is because I'll just ogle the great pictures and coloring. I mean, the one element where there's one point in here where he's kind of remembering back to his sister again, and his family and the city he used to live in and how he first started drinking. So you get this page that's colored like this. This is our standard coloring kind of a page. The elements as dad is backhanding his daughter for sleeping around with this knucklehead, but then you get this page that is completely painted. It's painted instead of just being colored. It has a painted element to it. So I love that. I mean, I think we had an issue or two ago that had this kind of element in too, colored completely differently. What's curious is the very end of it. Right, you get the impression that maybe he is the werewolf, or the werewolves were around, or so there's interesting elements about it. It's just they're kind of all
jumbled up and well, see, and that's again like the whole. I really want to know if this guy's a werewolf. I think that's the one.
Well, right, because we get here at the end, right? He's out here. He's in a really bad way. Obviously, he's sick. He's been chained up. He runs into Tempest again. Tempest may be a hot babe, but when the hot babe about bites your bottom lip off, it might be time to decide that maybe they're not a hot babe anymore. Yeah, but, I know, right? But at any rate, and then it shows a picture of it at the very end, right? And she's suddenly, instead of ruffling his hair, does that not look like a wolf's head?
Yeah, I saw that.
And then of course here's our African American woman again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll keep reading it because I love the art.
I don't know where the alcohol comes into place too. The alcohol, like, is it making him forget what he's doing? Like maybe like Wolf Cop. Wolf Cop drinks to get strength. Is this
Right.
the?
Well, I think if nothing else, the drinking is an element of he is definitely an alcoholic, and he drinks so much that he can't remember what the hell's going on. So I
Yeah.
think as long as we're riding along with him,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be confused to some degree because he's in such a drunken stupor. What's
So he's
kind of real and
unreliable,
what's not?
unreliable character.
Right. And since how lots of the story elements are told through him, I think it lends itself to being kind of confusing.
This makes all the more sense for me.
Yeah, but I definitely agree with you. I mean, those kind of things. That one weird kind of over the top racism kind of thing that was there, which I don't think was necessarily over the top. It just seemed out of place to the rest of the book, the way it's been delivered. And you're right. These kind of things are kind of, all over. I still personally like it because I like all the eye candy. So
yeah, well, I mean, I'm still pulling the book. I haven't dropped it, So
yeah.
I want to know. I'm waiting for them to let me know that this guy's a lichen, and what's gonna happen from there,
Right. And how crazy is it going to get when all the mafia guys from up north in New York come rolling down? Because clearly they've just added this Italian goon that looks pretty diabolical with his rose-colored glasses. And what's that about?
I know. I was looking at that.
Yeah, what's he going to be? So that could be interesting too. Yeah, sure enough.
I'll put $5 down now that the Italian
vampire
mafia goons, all vampires.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And I saw him with the red glasses and whatnot. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're vampires.
And he did say something about nighttime, didn't he? He only comes at night or something.
Yeah, it may have. And of course, then there's some Italian in it. And I don't speak Italian, so I don't know what they said there. So
I'll have to go back and read it and see,
Yeah.
because I think that they did reference something to being only out during the night, something like that. I don't know.
So
maybe I'm just making things up by now, but
yeah, it could be. That'll be interesting. So yeah, cool. What else do we want to talk about? Okay. Motor Crush.
Yeah. Oh, see, look at this. You got all the good stuff, don't you?
Well, I don't know. I got the regular covers. I make it a point of almost always with almost every book I get the regular covers.
I didn't realize I grabbed this. That is a nice variant. Like, I didn't realize I grabbed the variant. I didn't know this was a variant that I grabbed.
Pretty sure yours is the variant. I think mine's the standard.
From what I saw in my shop, I think that what you have, Travis, is the standard.
Yeah, is the standard,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
You got the variant. So, what do you think of Motor Crush?
I'm kind of getting bored, to be honest. I'm kind of getting really bored with the story. Like, I like that. I think I missed issue number 2, so I'm jumping in number 3. Like, I read number 1, missed number 2 somehow, and then I went back to number 3 and it gave me a recap. But apparently, the main character is a lesbian. Mm-hmm. She dates this one girl from her garage that quit, and now she recruited her back in this issue. She apparently, brokered a deal with the mafia, the local mafia, to give them her dad's garage, and then also, I guess, what else did she do just to get back?
Well, she brokered a deal where, if she loses, she clearly, her friend still owes all the debt.
Yeah.
Well, she loses the garage, and she races for them for life. Yeah. I mean, she basically is giving her whole life away. Yeah. If she wins, the debt's free from the ex-girlfriend, and she gets like a whole bunch of crush. Yeah. Which crush is used. Everybody puts it in their motorcycles. It's illegal. Yeah. It's like a stimulant for your motorcycle to make your motorcycle go faster. Except she inhales crush into her own body. So she's basically huffing a gasoline supplement. And we've seen what it does if people take crush. Normal person, if they take crush, it literally burns them from the inside out. You inhale it, it lights you up from the inside, and you actually combust from the inside and burn up into nothing. But for some reason, she can consume it, and it almost works like medicine for her. Yeah, keeps her fun. She has some kind of ailment that she suffers from, to the point where she feels like this is something she needs. Her body's even, is in this mode where she withdrawals. Withdrawal. And we see that at the very end of the issue, where someone that knows her that she's addicted to this gives her it because she's losing all these races. Mm-hmm. And this issue is kind of boring. I mean, because we just see her, just, I guess, suffering through the withdrawal, and
attempting to race and just failing at it, and running into that one guy we met in the first issue, the really good-looking guy who calls her what does he call her?
Cricket. Calls her Cricket. Yeah.
Kind of animal or
He's one of the gang leaders of one of the gangs, right?
Yeah. But honestly, I'm just not really intrigued anymore. I love the illustration. I love the coloring. I'm just not into it.
See, that's where I am too. Visually, I really like the book. I like Cameron Stewart's breakdowns and Babs Tarr doing the finishing art on it and whatnot. I really enjoy the way the book looks. But yeah, it seems to me like it's taking a long time to get nowhere.
Yeah,
pretty much. I've dropped it.
Yeah,
I decided that I dropped it off my pull. I'll still get. I think I got like 1 or 2 more issues coming.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to keep getting it. My main reason for getting it in the first place was I had talked with Cameron Stewart about the book last year when I was at a con. They had just announced the book, and I was kind of like humming and hawing because I do like the way the Burnside's Batgirls look, but I really wasn't keen on the story of it. And they basically, I was sold this on. This is us getting to tell the story we really wanted to tell that we weren't allowed to tell in Batgirl.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how that correlates.
So I thought, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'll get to see what they really wanted to do. I don't really see anything. I don't see anything special.
That's what I'm saying. Because this doesn't fit. I understand they're saying that it was something they weren't able to tell, but you really don't feel like it's something that it would be able to be told.
Yeah,
DC
and
at all.
We're right, and I don't know that it was like this was literally the storyline they wanted to tell in Batgirl, but just what they wanted to, the kind of story, the kinds of stories they want to tell that they weren't allowed to. They're going to do here, and I don't see it. I don't see anything special. It feels to some degree like the Batgirl stuff in that let's get somewhere. Let's make something happen. Largely with the Batgirl, my only conversation about that was how much it didn't feel like Batgirl. I mean, that seemed to be always the conversation where it came from and nothing else. And that's kind of how I am with this. It looks cool, but is very, very light on actual content.
Yeah.
Everything that was said in these 3 issues probably could have been said in an issue or an issue and a half if it was tightened up. And we wouldn't lose anything. It wasn't like, and I'm one of those people. I'm perfectly okay with long, drawn out shots if they're interesting. So I don't mind a book being slow if that visually is interesting and those long, slow elements add to the story. But nothing in here has been that way. So
yeah, I agree.
I want it to be more than what it is, I guess.
I'm the same way. I had high hopes for it, and especially after issue number 1, but it's just okay.
Well, right, 3 issues, and we're still really kind of nowhere more than what issue number 1 was, really.
Yeah, I don't feel like I even need to go back and read issue number 2, to be honest.
No, it's more chase scenes, kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't feel like I missed one darn bit.
Not much at all. So, yeah, cool. Fred, what else you got?
Wicked and Divine, issue 26, with the greatest variant cover in the history of variant covers. Also, I got the original cover because I love the new covers, but.
Right, that variant cover is so hilarious because, of course, that variant cover is a spoof off of like issue 16 or something like that or is it 12? I can't remember what issue it is of like a 4th or 5th printing of Sex Criminals, where where that is a spoof off of Sex Criminals. I can't remember which issue it is, but it was like the 4th printing of Sex Criminals. It has Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky on the cover.
Like it says from the writer of The Wicked and the Divine and the artist of The Wicked and the Divine, and underneath like the actual title, it says "This is weird," right?
Yes. Exactly, it is. It's hilarious. It's so funny because see this month all of the Image books are doing homage covers of other Image books.
Yeah.
Last week, well,
Deadly Class did the Cyber Force one.
Right. Did Cyberforce. Right.
I think
so,
Spawn, because Spawn is still going from the original, they're just redoing their old covers.
yeah. So that's why that cover
Yeah.
looks the way it does, is they're spoofing on sex criminals, which is hilarious because in a sex criminal issue, they do a porno based on Wicked and Divine. So it's they're messing with
They're
each
just going
other.
back and forth.
Yeah, those creators are just messing with each other. Yeah.
But no, I was like, as far as an issue goes, I really enjoyed it. I don't know where this darkness monster came from, but now that they're hitting people again, I'm enjoying it.
Right. Yeah. So this comic is not known for action. They had a couple action issues a while ago, but now we're suddenly back in a lot of action again, kind of thing. You know, the darkness creature things, whatever that is, been hinted at, but now we're really starting to actually see them. They're showing up. Lots of information gets dumped in this, though. In the whole fact that they've been around, and some of the gods have been fighting them this whole time and just never told anybody else.
What was it? Amaterasu and Woden were going back and forth, and Amaratu's like, it's a sky god thing, and Woden's like, I am a sky god.
Right. Which is funny. You know, but he had his go ahead.
The fact that they killed Baal's father too, I think. Or they were involved in the death of Baal's father.
Mm-hmm.
And that they keep showing up at his house and he has to like keep appearing through the phone and like killing them. And he's like, sorry about the mess, Mom.
Right, because he comes flying through the phone and everything just explodes in a ball of lightning as he smashes into the place and wrecks everything, kind of stuff. So that's all really interesting. Anka still having her effect on all of them. Do we trust anything she said? Do we not trust what she said? She compartmentalized them so much that they don't even trust each other in a lot of ways, because they were all working on secret things that each other didn't know about. So, to start out with, we're all offended by Woden because he's the only guy that was, he seemed to be the one that was in league with her. Well, no, they all were. We just didn't see it. But they all were doing these things. Persephone, really interesting. She goes to fight the darkness things, and she actually makes them bigger and stronger.
So that might prove that Anake was right about her being the destroyer.
Right, or being part of the darkness in some sense, for sure. There's a lot of interesting elements.
Like the past couple issues, I don't want to say they've been slow, but like it's been like a build up. So it hasn't been like the blowing away issues like, oh, she's back from the dead and she's Persephone. Oh, she killed Anake. It's been like, we'll show everybody. And I'm like, okay, like everybody already knows the gods exists. Mm-hmm. Like they already like hypnotized millions of people. But it was cool to see some of the gods that have been like otherwise relegated to like minimal positions come back. Like Minerva came back. Sekhmet came back. Dionysus came back.
Yeah. I mean, I think we say it's not slow, but kind of feels that way. I mean, it was a few issues ago. Things were so big and so explosive that I think we have to come down off the top of that roller coaster, right? For whatever's next. And I think they need to kind of build up to the next thing, whatever that next thing's going to be. Clearly you got this, 3 groups going their own way. Some of them are for they do this vote, and some of them are for anarchy. Some of them are for, studying everything they can figure out. They touch base on oh hell, what's her name?
Cassidy, right? Well, she was Cassandra before she was a god.
Right.
Now she's
starts with an L.
Is it an L? I thought she was another M character. I can open my issue and just look. I'm just
Jiminy Christmas. I cannot remember what. Anyway, they touch on her sexuality, and asexual or whatever, and is she not asexual, and that whole thing. So that was kind of interesting as they're walking off into the room, and she calls one of her sidekicks mistress. So I'm not sure what all is up with that. So they clearly control her in some sense, even though she seems to be the person in charge.
Well, everybody still calls her Cassandra, which is like some of them call her Cassandra, some of them actually call her by her god name.
Yeah, but most of them call her Cassandra just because they knew her as the videographer before she was powered.
And isn't there, I don't know if I read this somewhere or was actually in the book, besides being like asexual, isn't she also like a transgender character?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
She's the Nord.
Oh, she's the Nord.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
so
there's her and the Morgan. They're both like a tripart god.
Yeah, except for the Morgan changes herself to depending. He has the triple form where she she has the Norns that hang out with her and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was some interesting elements there too. A visual element in this issue that was way different than a lot of stuff we've seen. Most of this book tends to be pretty clean panel work and whatnot. And you had this one scene, this one page here of her vote, of her vote for anarchy as opposed to the other study. I like how it literally she is laid on top of the page. That was kind of a different visual element for this book, which I thought was kind of cool too.
And that end of the book where she like crashes her motorcycle,
right?
And like she's like, I need a new bike, but she kind of appears suicidal but can't die unless it's by the hand of another god.
Yeah.
And the fact that they continually reference music, and this is nice. Like I kind of listen to a wide variety, and the fact that Ball comes out of the phone and is singing DJ Khaled, I'm like, all right, I'm just
yes. Yeah, there's a lot of cool pop cultural reference in the book, that's for sure. So, I still dig the book.
It was either when Persephone came back, or it was when this storyline, like this current storyline, started. The book was called "Don't Call It a Comeback," and I was just like, all right.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I didn't drop off after issue 16.
I just really like it. I think it continues to be interesting. It's one of those kind of books that's quiet for a while, builds up, kind of winks and nods at stuff depending on how what you know about music or pop culture and that sort of stuff. And then it's had some crazy moments. 16, so 10 issues ago. I'm trying to think what was going on around 16.
Well, I know just because this book got me like to a comic book shop. Like before, I was buying mostly trades from Barnes & Noble. I wanted the issue 13 variant because it was she does Saga.
Oh, Fiona Staples. Uh-huh.
Fiona Staples. It was her cover, and that was the beginning of what was it, Inanna and like Baphomet before they started fighting. It was right around then.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
16 was probably right before like Laura died.
Right. So yeah, some crazy stuff happens after you drop off the book, Rez.
Yeah. It seems. I remember being so upset that they killed off. When the first book when they killed off Lucy, and then the second book when they killed off that one character in the first few issues, I was like, oh my goodness, this is disastrous. For me, it was like I don't want to read it no more.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But it was like pretty much after volume 4 because I was getting at the time I was dipping into it through trades.
Cool.
And so after 4 trades, I was like done. I was like, nope. You kill off characters I really liked, and I can't come back. You can't come back from that for me. But it sounds like it's good because I still know people are still picking it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's right after the commercial Suicide Story, that one shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I wanted to get that same Fiona Staples cover as well.
Yeah. Cool. Rez, what else you got?
Let's see.
I only have one more book read.
Fissure. This is something I sent you on Twitter.
Yeah. What's it about?
Well, it's about this couple of some sorts. It's kind of like a couple, but not really. The guy, his dad does not want him to be with this young Mexican woman. He has knocked her up, but the father's trying to drill in the boy's head that, oh, that's not your baby, And so it takes place in Texas, in a small town in Texas, where it's only one street in the town. And out of nowhere, some kind of disaster happens. We don't know if it's like alien nature or demonic in nature, but there is like a fissure that happens and separates where all the immigrant Mexican people stay from the Texan-born people. So it's like separating, it's like a wall, but not a wall. And so I like this concept because it kind of reminds me of what's kind of going on right now, like social commentary where, we have a wall trying to be built, to separate Mexicans from, what we have today, United States. And so that was right there really interesting to me. And then I guess the throwing in of the one couple and them having a pregnancy, maybe unwanted to some degree, a lot of doubt sprinkled in between their relationship, and then having her grandmother telling her that the boy's no good because he's not really there. And then the father saying, well, she's no good. She's tricking you, son. And the fact that there's separation in between the communities in this town. So yeah, it's pretty much like somewhat of like a supernatural disaster that occurred, and we're just going to see how it plays out between the couples, but between the couple and the communities. We do see like an interrogation that happened in between, that they included in the samples, which I got to read and really, really put me on board for the book. But within the interrogation, we see both these two individuals explaining to the agent what happened and how you may not believe us because this is really crazy. But there was something that was in the crack and the fissure itself, and it destroyed our town. It pretty much took the town under. And so I'm really curious as to how they're going to play that out. But I really, really enjoyed this first issue.
And that's by Vault?
Yeah, by Vault.
Cool.
They seem Vault and it's another company, Creative Mind Energy. They seem to be taking on a lot of the books that for some reason are not being published with the major lines like heavy metal and Image and stuff like that. So it seems like these smaller books that they go to these companies like Vault and Creative Mind Energy and get published, which is fine by me because the paper quality on this was really nice, really thick, nice cardstock. The coloring is really nice. The art is, I like the art.
Yeah.
But if it again, it feels like a supernatural story. But I really, really like the element of them talking about this barrier that this disaster is causing, and kind of like I said, it speaks to some social commentary.
Yeah. You always kind of wonder how long ago did they write this thing for how a lot of these comics that are coming out right now that have kind of social commentary on what's actually happening, at least here in the United States, at least kind of stuff that's going on and whatnot. Because a lot of this stuff had to have been produced or thought of, I mean, like months and months ago. I mean, not like
this is delayed too a little bit.
It's not like this is you make a comic book and one week you see what's going on, the next week you write the comic book and the next week the comic book gets made. I mean, especially for a #1 to get off the ground, you're talking potentially 6 months, a year or longer to get this kind of stuff moving. So it's just kind of interesting, the zeitgeist of how a lot of these authors and creators have, we're tapping into something that was going to be happening before it happens. Kind of.
Yeah, it's like political cartoons, though. When you think about it, it's like political cartoons where sometimes they're mocking a situation that may occur or may not, and then it happens. You're like, oh wow, I don't know if you remember, but a lot of these political cartoons that would be put out about Trump, trying to running for president, or if he got elected, and then 20 years later he's president. So
right,
and people are like, well, see, we said this before, and it speaks to how things happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Very eerie at times too.
Yes.
How good on the nose it is.
for sure. Well, the last book that I got to this week was Black Science, issue number 28, with that wonderful superhero cover. I love that. I'm a sucker for science superheroes anyway. So last issue I was super excited to have them, screaming out, oh, anarchists for whatever, kind of a thing. So super fun. Was looking forward to reading this. I really enjoyed the fact doesn't it kind of read like a traditional old school superhero book for a large portion of it?
Yeah, I feel like, especially with the main kid, Grant's kid, I feel like he's supposed to be, and I don't want to say it is, he's supposed to be a take on Invincible. And I feel like this, and I feel like this is just Remender destroying Invincible's universe in this issue, and I'm like, I kind of appreciate that a little bit. I love Invincible. I've been binge reading it, but I'm like, same time, if you're taking Kirkman down a peg, I will be right there with you.
I mean, the League of Ethical Champions is the superhero group. Yes.
At the start, it feels very like Legion of Superheroes-esque, where you have the 11th level intellect robot showing up who can see in dimensions, and there's the spirit guy, and there's the telepathic aardvark.
Yes, and I loved it. I loved it. Like I said, the kind of the narration of it is very, very old school feel to it. Our main superheroes, talk with that kind of old cheesy, Captain Marvel kind of, to them and whatnot.
And when Pia swears, like the guy shows up and he's like, "Well, young lady, like watch your language."
Right. If you continue to talk like that, that's the first sign of us slipping into anarchy. You know,
Yeah.
you're like, come on. I mean, with all the stuff that she's seen, it's like, dude,
Yeah.
you know, me saying "damn" is not
Like-
going to send us, to.
The two best moments I can picture, like if you wanted to slide into anarchy, the World War I between the Germans and the techno shamans, and then like the
Yes.
Rome future. I'm like, they've
Yeah.
seen everything at this point.
Yeah. And it's brilliantly drawn in color. It's just absolutely nuts. The sacrificial superheroes trying to get it, and then it all just going to hell in a handbasket. And I'm not sure exactly why it is going to hell in a. I mean, I know why, but at the same time, it spirals out of control so fast. About the time you think, oh, maybe you're right. Maybe the Grant name isn't cursed, and they're just all. By the end of this, they're all so screwed. This perfect, city that's like named after heaven is, everything's raining down on it. The whole world's coming to an end. Poor Grant's intelligence that's been stolen from one of the main characters. You think maybe he's going to get it back because they seal the book. It's locked in. No, now it's been given to somebody else. So I don't know.
And I like how he makes like this entire like legion of superheroes. He gives them all cool powers, and like she takes the courage from that one guy and she's going to destroy them like how she destroyed Grant. Nope. He only gets his courage removed. She like causes the magma woman to like self implode.
Right.
The aardvark that's who's a telepath like realizes he's pried too much into people's minds and rips his eyes out and kills himself. Like she rips people in half, and I'm like, Remender, where are you going with this?
Right. They just created this universe and all these people so they could wreck it in a single episode, and a single issue. That was great. I love it when they split the witch in half too. They chop the witch in half, and
she goes back together right away.
Well, she doesn't even go back together again. She gets chopped in half. Here's this great panel of this, character with this blade chopping her in half. You think, oh, she's split in half. Haha, we beat the witch. Yay, right? No. She grows teeth. She grows teeth, so she's her body split in half as a giant maw, and it literally bites the person with the sword in half. Just chomp.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Why did I drop off this book? I mean, I think it's because I was collecting it in trades.
Mm-hmm.
But goodness gracious, I'm missing a lot.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so visually. I mean, that's the great thing about this is, even if sometimes it's just kind of bonkers as to where it goes to, I think he gives Matteo Scalera so much room to kind of draw in a sense however he wants to, kind of stuff that just makes for a lot of fun book.
And DeCino's coloring on this book continues to be spectacular every issue.
It's for me, it's just lots of fun. It's one of those books we're on issue 28. In this day and age, that feels like a lot of issues for a run of a book, and I enjoy that. I like the fact that they're taking the time to tell big old long story, because it doesn't feel like we're anywhere near the end of anything. I mean, I'm not even sure by the end of this they haven't even, because the whole idea is they're building this super machine because the parasites that they basically I don't know.
They unleashed in like issue 6.
Right. They unleashed these parasites that have been, even though we're not being told all the time about them, they are slowly consuming all the universes that are out there. They're slowly taking them over. So they build this machine, and it's supposedly going to blast through the multiverses and kill all this stuff off without killing the hosts. And I'm not even sure they get that thing shot off by the end of this.
I'm just with the parasites. Are they those monkey souls from issue 6, or are they the parasites that show, like the bug people that show up when he gets
the bug people? I think they're the bug people.
Is it because like when they take over the Earth in the last issue, they're like the souls that they released in that temple when they ran through it real quick? It looks because it's that girl that shows up and she like spews them all out of her mouth. Like the bug people, the last time you see them is when Grant gets in the Remender reference ship and has like Teddy's helmet, Saya's sword, like all that stuff.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Like they were supposed to be a big story arc and they haven't come back yet. I feel like it's going to be like a double whammy. Like you got the monkey spirits over here and you got the worm people over there.
You're right.
And Grant's like, I can't like use a fork. Like, what do you want me to do?
Right. Because Grant's had his intelligence sucked away, so he's just like a congenital idiot sitting in a room. And they keep torturing him because they know he's the one that built the pillar. Build us another pillar. And he's like, dude, I don't have a clue. I mean, I can't solder two transistors together. There's no way in the world I'm gonna build a transdimensional machine. So yeah, it's.
Meanwhile, Sean's over there and he's got like a Professor X hover chair with a pillar on the back of it, and he's like,
Exactly.
"I got this."
Right. I'll just port us around wherever we need to go.
Yeah.
It's nuts. It's just cool. It's cool. Pulpy, bizarre science fiction that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's fun to watch it happen, kind of a thing. I'm going to have to go back and reread some issues, obviously, to make sure I understand where the whole parasites come from and whatnot, because that clearly hasn't been fixed yet either. So I don't know. It's going to be, it's just lots of fun.
Because from what I remember in last issue, it was Kadir's assistant from like the beginning of the run who was there like messing with everything. When they run through like that, when Kadir and Grant have that sword fight in the Monkey Temple, when Grant like loses and Kadir goes home,
right?
Like there was like a shrine that girl touches, and like she gets imbued with the spirits of those people. And then last issue, she like vomits like a soul tornado.
Right out of it, there where they're hiding out in the tunnels of the subway.
In Tokyo.
Yeah. Good point. Cool. I'm glad you remember that because I didn't remember that. So
yeah. I don't know how I'm remembering that. Like Remender's books will take. Lowe is on the longest hiatus I've ever seen his books take, but like he takes a decent sized chunk between arcs.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going to happen with this book because, like I said, I had heard that Scalera had some sort of accident and like broke a shoulder or something. So I don't know. I don't know what that's going to mean.
Oh, I made a really like badly worded comparison, but I compared Scalera to like kind of a less refined Sean Murphy in a way, I feel. But like after the success of Tokyo Ghost, how cool would it be for like the interim where Scalera needs to like fix his shoulder, Murphy just comes in and like deals with that arc? Because I feel like his art style would kind of meld.
As much as that maybe sounds cool, I'd rather wait and have it just be purely Scalera.
My thing would be though, if like he was like halfway through the arc or like almost done with it, like just have somebody like round out that arc so we don't have to wait longer.
I'd rather wait.
Yeah.
Just saying, I'd rather wait.
No,
that would be like, oh, Fiona Staples has got blisters on her fingers. She can't draw an issue of Saga. Let's have somebody else just finish the story.
Yeah, that's true.
No.
I don't know.
I mean, even if it's somebody that's close, I get what you're saying. There's elements of those two artists that are the same, but it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see it working if they argue like it was an alternate dimension and like the dimension just looked like that. I'd be like, that'd be cool, but I get where you're coming from where it should be the same artist.
Right. I mean, I would be okay with it if it was truly a story that had nothing to do with what else was going on. But it can't be part of what else is here.
Right.
For me. I mean, that's one of the beauties of these books is you don't have a bunch of fill-in artists, so you get kind of randomly seeming issues. So.
Right.
Versus the corporate books. We suffer with big breaks when things like this happen. That's just kind of seems to be the case. So alrighty. Any other books you want to talk about?
Picked up Spawn 270 because I am one of the 4 people who still buy Spawn.
Clearly.
I did too. I picked up Spawn, but I didn't read mine.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say when they announced Al came back, I was super excited, and then Al goes to hell again, and I was like, this story is lame. And then he came back from hell, and I'm like, this story is almost okay, but now it's getting better again, because the daughter that he used to protect all the time, like when Capula was still drawing it, the daughter of Terry and Wanda, like Spawn was super protective because he's like, that's the daughter I should have had. She's developing powers and like an affinity for the darkness, and like it might have something to do with how often like she was in like association with Al, and like he's kind of lost most of his powers, and like she chains him up at one point with like his own chains, and she has a weakness for the light, and he has to go find Cagliostro and bring him back and be like, how do I deal with this? Meanwhile, they're trying to figure out how Cyan got out of the rehab center she was in because she was taking pills. And the thing is, Terry keeps bringing her pills while she's in there because it suppresses her powers. And now, like, Al has to watch her, and, like, I guess hell and heaven are going to fight over her or something. The covers are still sweet, though.
Yeah. I agree. I usually get the black and white ones.
Yeah. And there's, like,
the art is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, the interior looks good as well. I feel like it's kind of the guy that was doing
Black Eyed
the
Kids.
I was gonna say when Al stopped being Spawn and they had that other guy fill in, like Startup. I can't remember his name,
Mm,
but I feel like it's kind of like that art, but with the
okay.
less realism to it. Because that guy had like photorealistic pictures.
I guess I jumped in a little late because I jumped in when Seisman Krendansky was doing the art.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still enjoyable, and he's gotten another side story where he's like fighting all these drug dealers to get drugs off the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So
He
it's
still had
just,
that guy teaming up with him.
yeah. Oh, and they have this new villain who like wears a gas mask and stuff, which is cool because those are scary.
So what issue is Spawn on now?
270.
270. Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I know.
I guess when you don't have to make money on your book, you can just keep making it, right?
Yeah, and every time you promise people something and like it doesn't come through, you can still print it anyways when you own the company.
Right.
Because
Right.
like that John Boy Mayer's like announcement and those first couple issues of Spawn when he was on that book were fantastic, and then he just disappeared. Like Todd was like, "Oh, I'm backing off the book," and everybody was like, "Finally," and he's like, "No, I still have full control over the book. Never mind."
Right. Huh. Interesting. Alrighty. Anything else? Rez, you got any other books you want to talk about?
I have John Carter, The End, #1. This is written by Brian Wood, Alex Cox, and Alice Cox, and Hayden Sherman is doing the illustrations. I have to say, right off the bat, I wasn't a fan of the illustrations because they made Queen Deja or Princess Deja. They made her look very, very masculine, and it just didn't look like I wasn't sure what was going on with her, but I'll show a panel where
she's like a collection of rectangles.
yeah, she looks very boxy. It was like not attractive, like, because if you look back at the old John Carter that Marvel put out, she's very feminine, she's very curvy, and is not the case inside. The interior art just makes people look very boxy. The faces look very, very rectangular, and
which is strange for Dynamite because Dynamite's pretty well known for.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so I wasn't a fan of the art at all. This story pretty much was, and it also too, like, I don't know what's going on, but from what I know of John Carter, from Edgar Rice Burroughs, that it was originally based on, they seem to have changed up the names, or they changed up the dynamic of Deja and John Carter, where yes, they're still married, but they have it to where instead of them having 2 children, which in the original Marvel series it was a daughter named Tara and a son named Catharsis. Here they just have 1 son, and his name is Din something, and apparently he is like a cold-blooded killer. And John Carter pretty much exiled him and faked his death, and told Deja, his wife, that he's dead, he died. And so she's been going this whole time thinking he's dead until they're visited on their in their habitat that they have pretty much exiled themselves away from their society and Mars. And a group of people have found them to tell them, hey, we need you to overthrow your son. And she's like, what? My son's dead. And they're like, yeah, no, he's not dead. And so we see them go to where the son has taken over the government and is now warlord. And so we see at the very end, Deja run off to go find her son. I don't know if she's going to kill him or not, but we get the feeling that she wants him to probably be dead or something, Yeah. But it was okay. I felt like knowing the original story, it just didn't feel like the same. And I guess I would have preferred them not to have switched up character names and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like the first thing I thought when I read this was that one, it was really short, and it was really, really short for even a dynamic comic. But I mean, a dynamite comic. But I felt like this would have been better if they handed this off to American Mythology Productions, because they're doing a lot of Edgar Rice Burroughs stories, like the Casp series and the Palos Cedar stories. And so I would have much preferred them to hand off John Carter over to to the American Mythology Productions because they seem to do a better version of Edgar Rice Burroughs' story, and they probably would have had a little bit more length to it. But yeah, it was okay. Just not a fan of the art, and the story was a little too short.
Yeah. I wonder if that product is the rights for it are up to anybody can use it. You know, I mean, like Tarzan,
Yeah,
clearly it is. It's
yeah, because there's a lot of
free.
people doing. Yeah, because it no longer Marvel doesn't own it, and they're not trying to do anything with it. So that's why Dynamite took it. Usually, I notice when anything that Dynamite puts out is because the rights are not really they're floating around.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So some other, so the other people who are doing some of the other Edgar Rice stuff, they could do it if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I hope they do because, yeah, I mean, like I usually grab anything with Edgar Rice Burroughs attached to it. I usually grab those graphic novels and hardcovers, but I decided to grab this in singles as an opportunity to see what was going on. I'm not the biggest Brian Wood fan personally, I think him as a person, I'm not a big fan of him.
Right.
But, I said, let me go ahead and see how this is going to be written.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I wouldn't go out and run and get it.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody got any others? I'm like I said, I'm all tapped out. Anything else I haven't read yet. So,
Are you reading Green Valley?
no, I am not reading Green Valley.
All right. So I didn't want to spoil it if you were. I got issue, I believe this is 5, by Landis and Kamikoli, and a bunch of knights in like medieval Europe fight a bunch of dinosaurs.
Because that happens.
Yeah, it's this weird plot where like this kid has like a time machine, and he gets stuck in like medieval period, and like all the surrounding villagers think like the velociraptors are all dragons.
Of course.
So the knights have to fight him, and like another knight dies. Like their numbers are slowly getting dwindled down while the kid's trying to fix his ship, and he has to like keep giving the ship, like it's got an AI in it, and he keeps giving it like stuff he's stolen from like throughout history. Like he gives it a golden sarcophagus and a bunch of other stuff, and like now he's out of energy drinks and stuff. I feel like the villain is Max Landis in a way.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Or I just don't like Max Landis a lot, so I will project the villain onto him.
Right, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So like it's just a weird book. Like I don't know what's happening. I don't know if that's the point or not, but and then a T-Rex shows up at the end. And that's the dragon everybody thought was attacking the place.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big Max Landis fan, so I didn't pick that up because his name was on it. So
See, I didn't realize that until like 2 issues in, and by then I was like, oh, this book's going pretty well. And then like the hipster like greaser wizard showed up, and I was like, oh, it's this book. Okay.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. All righty. Anything else? Go ahead.
Triggerman, Hard Case Crime.
Hard Case Crime.
Yeah, I love me some Titan comics,
Yep.
and so this is the final issue of Triggerman, and it was pretty good. I really liked it. I kind of expected to end on this note. We had our hitman Roy Triggerman Nash, pretty much going to all out war just to get his girl and walk away with a little less than what he expected. So I really enjoyed this issue. The art is always phenomenal by Jeff. He's just doing it up on these hard case crime books. But I love the mood that it feels really European, and at the same time it feels very indicative of that time, of that era where it is prohibition, and I just love how grotesque all the faces are, like all the expressions that the characters take on. Here's one in particular. I don't know if you can see it, but the face is just so
nice.
ugly and rough looking, and I just really enjoyed that about this book. But there's one situation where I guess I could kind of nitpick on, and that's the character that he was, the girl he was trying to look for. That was his like, I guess one and only love, his true love. She looked very similar to this character right here. this woman right here. So I couldn't really tell the difference between them. So there's times where I'm like, wow, some of these characters look alike. Even with the police officer he ended up working with, that character looked very similar to a character he killed earlier on. And then also the main character, Roy Nash, he looks very, very similar to Frank Kitchen in The Assignment. So it's like, okay, you know, they do have their little differences, but, you know, Jeff tends to merge the characters to the point where sometimes they're indistinguishable at times.
Okay.
I guess that could be a little, you know, I could be a little nitpicky and say that, but overall, I do like the book. I love the art. It went where I thought it was going to go, and it ended pretty good. It felt finite, and I didn't feel like I needed anything else to happen to give me a warm and fuzzy. But yeah, it's pretty much a story of a guy who was a hitman. He went down to find these guys who took a stash from a mob boss, and he killed a lot of people in the wake. And then he also tried to get his girl back. That didn't really happen, and then, you know, it ends.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Good to hear it had a decent ending.
Yeah.
So lately there's been books that have not ended where we've won.
Yeah.
So cool.
Exactly.
Alrighty. Anything else? Nope. Okay.
Yeah.
You got one more? Okay, go ahead.
I gotta have one more. This is called Terminal Protocol. It was a one-shot, but I thought it was very interesting because it dealt with like really advanced technology, and it dealt with this one couple. They're like a power couple. They pretty much advanced the world of robotics and created like some kind of, you know, like really advanced robots and androids. And so we find out that the main character, the guy within this couple, he developed this very terminal cancer, and you know, it drove the wife and him to create an android in his likeness and infuse it with his life and within his essence, his life essence. And you know, once, like, I guess a few months passed after they had his actual funeral, and, you know, his soul is pretty much trapped in this android. He just didn't feel like he was himself. He felt like, well, although I am now, my body, my mind is inside this android, I don't feel like this android is who I am. I want to die. Like, and so she let him go, but then she used that technology to improve their another line of androids, and to be able to utilize that same, I guess, method where they're infusing people's life essences within androids. And so it kind of ended off that, but it ended up in a note where it could possibly have a sequel. And it was originally a Kickstarter book. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a really good read. For some reason, every time I tried to pick it up and read it, I ended up putting it down. But once I really sat through and read it, I really, really enjoyed it.
Cool. Who put that book out?
Jordan Alsaka, and he's actually local to me, so that was really interesting to me. He's very, very local. And Rem Brew is the illustrator, and it's put out by Scout Comics.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like one-shot comics. You just
Yeah, me too.
One and done kind of a thing. You're only invested for that, and cool.
I got Lady Mechanica #5 solely because I think these covers are awesome. I don't know what's going on in any of the issues. I think I read one of them. But yeah. No, like all these covers are just posters waiting to happen, so I pick it up regularly.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I too.
Cool. Anybody got any more they want to talk about?
The only
This Rebel, it's based on a TV show, apparently.
Okay.
This is issue #2. I jumped in at #2. DCBS forgot to give me #1, but yeah, but it seems to be pretty interesting. It's they had some really cool scenes I had to show, because they had this. Okay, it's about this girl who is like a lawyer, or like she's also a professor, and her dad's like a criminal who just took a life sentence for killing someone that he really didn't kill, or he's saying he didn't kill. And the main character, Skylar, that's her name, Skylar, she apparently is being harassed by the mob boss that her father worked for, and he keeps giving her the invitation to meet him for tea, and trying to force her into a meeting to work for him. And she keeps trying to elude him and his cronies. And so this whole book is where she's pretty much trying to escape his cronies as well as escape, I guess, these agents. And we see her stop in at a strip club that one of her students works at. And they had a really cool scene where her student was dancing, and it was just like, whoa. If you see it, I was like, oh yeah.
Nice tattoo.
Yeah. I was like, that's pretty killer, you know? But I was just like, that was the best part of the book, just seeing the student just dancing and stuff like that all over the place. And I like seeing the chase scenes as well. But I'm very curious to kind of look around and see the TV show itself. But it's written by Sarah Spillane, and she's like a multi-award winning screenwriter and director. And she wrote books, but she has done feature films like Around the Block, which starred Christina Ricci and Ruby Rose, and a few other very famous actors and actresses. But yeah, it's put out. What the most interesting part was, it was put out by Joe Books, and most Joe Books that I see are children's books. You know, are literally books for kids. Because I buy a lot of comics for my kids, and whenever we get in books, it's Joe Books, like those Disney princesses and the SpongeBob's and all that stuff is usually Joe Books. So when I found out this was Joe Books, I was like, wow, that's kind of weird. You know,
Joe Books that's got strippers in it. Yeah,
exactly. But that was very interesting to me.
Yeah,
but I liked it.
Cool.
Yeah,
something different for sure.
Nothing I would tell somebody to go out and get, but I liked seeing a few scenes in there. You know.
Yep. So you clearly, when you're ordering your books, you spend a lot of time with those little small on the order thing where it says other. You click on that, and there's all those tiny little things. You just kind of go farming through that for different stuff that's out there. That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my favorite tab. Yeah.
Very cool.
My favorite category. Yep.
Very cool. All righty. Anything else? Anything else we have a burning desire to discuss or whatever? No? Okay. Well, with that, I think we'll call it a night. Thank you guys for coming on. I know incredibly short notice, as I said, I'm not going to be on because I'm not going to get my comments not getting read. So, but power through, got a few of them read and whatnot. And so I appreciate you guys coming on and chatting as always. Come back anytime. Good luck, Fred, with the snowstorms and all the other stuff. So
Thanks.
Yeah.
Got like 3 this week lined up. It's going to be great.
Great. Awesome. Anyway, have a great night. Thank you for everybody who was in the comments, chatting and whatnot. Thank you for everybody who watched tonight, that hung in there with us and watched tonight, even though we started so late. Thank you for everybody who watches this after the fact. We always appreciate it. And we'll be back whenever we're back next. Who knows? Maybe next week we'll get comics on time. I don't know. Anyway, have a good night, everybody, and see you next time.